In this episode of Whatever We Want, we are covering Marvel's The Avengers from 2012. We go over everything from comic book references, like Coulson and his girlfriend, to
Scarlett Johansson's hair from different movies.
It's a good one. Good behind-the-scenes facts, insights about filmmaking, camera angles, all the jazz. So stay tuned, and on with the show.
Quick drink before the pre-banter. Quick
Pre-banter drink.
Pre-drink.
Pre-drink.
Pre-drink for the pre-banter. I think that's a good way to start. Pre-banter!
Well, I guess we're into it. Welcome back to the podcast. I was like, Daniel, you can start it. And in classic Daniel fashion, it's the most unorganized thing, and we're just into the podcast now. Oh my gosh, how are you doing this week? I don't know, every 2 weeks.
Doing pretty good.
Cool.
You know?
Nice.
I was able to finally see Liz again, so that was nice.
Awesome.
It's really nice.
Yeah, I got to see some of my friends too.
Sweet. Like who?
I got to see Julia, who's a patron. Thank you, Julia, again for being a patron. Meanwhile, I'm just gonna do the patron shout-outs up top, so don't forget.
There you go. I wanted you to do that. That's why I asked you, like, because I knew some of them were, so I was like, oh, this would be a good transition.
Nice. Patron Rick, Tony, Frank, and Lori. Thank you guys for being patrons. Appreciate it. I put in some Star Wars music over the last time. I'll probably do it again. Let me know what you think about that.
Yeah, do it again. It was good.
Okay. Did you listen to it?
I'm not sure. Wait, is it the one that's out yet?
The Captain America one, yes.
I haven't listened to the Cap one yet.
That's a long one. Thank you also for listening to that long one. And I saw some other friends, but I guess Julia's the only one that matters because she pays me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm completely kidding. Completely kidding. I saw Pat and Cody and some other people.
God.
Kate. All right, let's get into the intro before this gets too bad.
So wait, that means I don't matter.
I didn't see you this weekend. I tried. You want to get into this, Daniel? I tried to see you, but you were like, I'm too busy with my girlfriend.
Okay,
I can't
haven't
make
seen her in,
time for you.
4 months, Jay. 4 months.
You haven't seen me in months, except for virtually.
Came to my door.
You're right. Actually, I gave you the mug. Actually,
Yeah.
That's another great segue. Wait, let me do the intro first, and then I'll get into that. You may want us to talk about this or that, but we don't care. We're gonna talk about whatever we want. Blah. We're just getting so good at podcasting that we keep segueing and we can never get to the intro.
It's just a constant segue that you just go from one thing to the next, or just always on it. By the way, segue about you coming up here. I still have your scarf.
Oh,
But that's
shoot.
for another time. Yeah.
Wait, you segued out of my segue. Segue back.
Okay, so I don't have your scarf.
All right, the mugs. So those mugs, the giveaway winners have been given their mugs. I'll be posting about that soon if I have not already. Thank you for participating. We're going to be doing another giveaway, but we actually have 2 more mugs set away for the giveaway. But after that, we only have 5 mugs left in this first stock. And I'm just going to be selling them. So if you want to support the show, if you want one of those cool mugs, again, you can check that out on Instagram. Reach out to me. They're $15 plus any shipping or handling. Unless you live close to me / want to wait till I see you next, then you can just pay the $15. Is that a good deal? Is that not? I don't know.
I think it's it's a nice mug. I think it's gonna work out.
Okay, you heard it here. It's a nice mug.
It's a good mug.
Resounding endorsement from Daniel right there.
Hey, listen, it's top quality mug. If you want to drink the things, fill this mug up. It'll be good for that. Anywho, what are we talking about this week, Jay?
Speaking of Phil, we're talking about Phil Coulson in Avengers.
Oh my God.
Marvel's The Avengers 2012. But before we get there, I need to talk about some other things really quick. Unsegue. So I was looking at the analytics for the podcast, and like I said before, it's really tough to tell who is listening and stuff. So those reviews that you guys are sending, really, really appreciate those. But also, the analytics I did see is that about 30-ish% of people that listen to our podcast are not subscribed. And all that subscription does is when you open your app and you're attached to Wi-Fi, I believe if you listen to the show a lot, it will automatically download the podcast, like if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. And it also lets you know like when a new episode comes out. So you don't have to like just stumble across it.
This is pretty convenient and like a good idea.
Yeah, I mean most people are subscribed, but if you're not even sure, why don't just check and subscribe, because that helps us figure out who's listening and stuff. So thank you. Also, speaking of supporting the show, that Audible link is still out. audibletrial.com/whateverwewant. Those free audiobooks are up on Patreon. Yeah. bam, baboosh.
If you like hearing the words, hit up that link.
Yeah, if you like hearing words like this, but in a more proper format.
Exactly. Like people not just saying randomly, hey, if you want to hear the words, you know?
Now, Daniel, Phil Coulson in The Avengers. It's Phil Coulson, featuring The Avengers. That's the movie we're covering this week.
Hello, son of Cole. It is your movie. It is your time.
Also, it might be a little out of sync.
My internet is garbage.
It might be a little out of sync because Daniel has the worst Wi-Fi on the planet. So it takes me it literally takes us, I think, like 10 seconds for us to hear each other.
Okay, that's a little bit much.
We're working through it. But that's no excuse because we're talking about a big movie, Avengers. We actually have a lot to cover, and I'm actually very nervous and stressed because I literally had to write so much down. So let's just jump into it. You ready?
Just jump into it. Yeah, you go. You hit it up.
This came out on Star Wars Day, actually. It was released on May 4th, which I was surprised at.
I remember that.
And it was actually not called The Avengers in the United Kingdom. It was called Avengers Assemble because there was like a whole marketing I don't know what word I was trying to say. Snafu. That's it. And there was already...
No, the new one's Shamfula.
Yes. There was a film in the UK already titled The Avengers, and they didn't want like any marketing shmamfu, like I said.
Okay.
So
what was that one about though? Like
The Avengers? I have no idea. It wasn't like Marvel Avengers.
It's like the Russian knockoff version where it's like the bear guy. Have you seen the trailers for that? That's like an actual thing. It's like a bear guy, and then there's like yeah, it's crazy.
So what did you think of this movie, Daniel?
Anywho, dude, go rewatching this again. It brought back so many memories. You know, it was just like seeing everybody come back together, seeing like Cap in his like the fabric suit again, and just like, yeah, they really went for that.
Oh my gosh. They did.
But no, seriously, I had so many good memories, and just like, wow, that's crazy to finally see like all these different movies like actually come together the way they did. So like that, I don't want like it wasn't like a finale because it wasn't. It was it was like the next step to setting things up even further, and you could tell that in the movie. You know,
exactly. Yeah, well, it's the end of phase 1, like we've been kind of building to. But this was like a crazy just event. Like this, when it was being built up, was just insane because it hadn't really been done before, like we've alluded to and talked about before on the show. But like, it's such like a cultural thing, like the comic book. I can't even like process and put into words, which is bad for a podcast, but like
that's the power of editing.
In terms of numbers, this had a budget. Joss Whedon was the director, and he was given $220 million, which if you remember from our previous episodes, like the solo movies were only given like 150. Yeah. So this was a big step up in production, and it grossed like $1.5 billion. It's the first Marvel movie to cross $1 billion, and then it did that like another half over. It topped The Dark Knight Rises, which was the movie before that was the highest grossing comic book movie. Sorry, Dark Knight, not Dark Knight Rises. And that had just crossed $1 billion. It was like 1.01 billion, I think. That's what that grossed.
Jeez.
Yeah. And also for Joss Whedon, this was the second film he ever made.
Wait, ever?
Yes. So like people know him from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but like that was like, I'm pretty sure like a TV show. So he had done a lot of TV show stuff with characters, and he was actually really good friends with Kevin Feige before Kevin was the head of Marvel, just when he was working at Marvel. They had been talking actually years before, back like in the X-Men days when Kevin was working on X-Men and stuff, about what they would do and about like an Avengers movie. And then it came to it, and Kevin approached Joss again and was like, what would you do? And Kevin liked Joss's answer, and he was given the reins for the Avengers movie.
Jeez, dude, that's freaking crazy.
Yeah. So how do we start?
We start off with our good old boy Nick. They're like, oh, there's something going on with the Tesseract. It's big bad Mama Jamma time.
Bop, bop, bop. That's wrong. I'm doing the thing that Zach said last time. We started out in space, broski.
Oh man, yeah, sorry.
You just watched it.
I know. Listen, I was just, like so much in it that honestly, I'm probably gonna be like very spotty. I wasn't like, because usually I like force myself to be like, okay, so this happened. This is the plot. This starts
like
here.
Analyze. Yeah.
Yeah. This time
but
I
now
was
you're
just like
enjoying it.
Like, oh dang, yeah. So
all right, so we started space.
Also, because my internet was so slow, I tried to watch it last night, just for reference for people who are listening. I tried to watch it last night, and I thought it might have been downloaded to like the Apple TV, but I totally wasn't thinking that it's all in the cloud. So it actually took like forever to download, so I didn't get to watch it till like today. So
well, thank you, Daniel, for doing that. Everyone, leave a review and tell Daniel how great he is for, despite all odds, watching Avengers. Sweet. All right, the Chitauri. Yep. Chitauri. They are
Chatari.
The Dude, a chia Jatari would be terrifying.
Where would you even put the like chia seeds and stuff? Like where
I don't even know.
I feel like I keep on thinking like just like the Bob Ross hair on a Jatari.
But anyway, so I think in the beginning it looks like he has one thumb, but later in the later scene he has two thumbs, like on each hand. So I don't know. Maybe he's just an alien that can grow thumbs on a whim, like a starfish kind of thing.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I need some extra grip. You know, let me just get an extra thumb. You know,
everyone's bragging about opposable thumbs. Well, I have 4 now. But anyway, so we see Loki. He gets his scepter, which is the Mind Stone. Do we ever know how that?
We don't know that.
Yeah, it gets there.
I don't think we do, honestly. Like,
okay.
It's explained later, obviously, like in Ultron, it obviously being the Mind Stone and it being taken out of the scepter and stuff like that. But like, it never was explained how it was put in there. So I don't think it has been.
But that also makes sense that it's a Mind Stone because it literally does mind control.
Yeah,
I think that's cool.
Well, not only mind control. I noticed this later that also goes into memories, like Loki playing back his memory for like some plot device later on, which can relate to the mind and all that. So that's argument can be made there. So I also thought it was just kind of cool.
All right, we get Loki with the scepter, and actually Joss in early versions of like production, he was given 2 years to complete this job. He accepted the job, and then 2 years later, like Avengers had to be done. In early stages, he was concerned. He didn't know if Loki would be able to hold the movie on his own as the main villain, and he was proven very wrong. Like Tom Hiddleston does such a great job. Like literally the leap from his character between Thor, which we talked about, and here is like insane. Just how menacing and it makes sense because like he has been literally thrown into the abyss of space, comes out the other side, and you don't know like what he's learned and dealt with.
He literally was willing to die. He was like so depressed. He was like, "Yeah, I'm out of here." Yeah, goes into a freaking wormhole, and then finding Thanos apparently, and Thanos is like, "Here, I'll give you one of the Infinity Stones, which I'm collecting by the way, but I'm giving it to you on loan. That way you can then give me another one." You know what I mean?
Thanos is just a glorified bank teller.
I deal in high value items.
I'll loan you this, but you owe me interest. Exactly. Have you seen Uncut Gems?
I have not.
With Adam Sandler.
I've been wanting to watch it, but again, my internet is poop.
Well, that's what Thanos is. Adam Sandler confirmed. There's an old episode where you do an Adam Sandler impression. It's like the funniest thing. It's like, "Hey, it's me, Adam Sandler."
Was I doing Adam Sandler or the guy from what was it, 8 Crazy Nights?
I think it was Adam Sandler.
The one you just did sound like Whitey from.
That's what I.
Yeah.
Daniel, back to the tank. So now we're in the Shield base, right?
Yeah.
That that was filmed?
No, I don't.
That was filmed in a NASA base in Ohio, in Cleveland, actually, directly under a high school. Apparently, part of it was filmed under a high school.
Wait, the part with like the giant dome too, like where the Tesseract's being held, is that like inside like the gym or something like that?
No, like that was the NASA facility.
Okay.
But part of like the hallways and stuff, I think, was under a high school.
Oh, that's cool.
And there's actually a NASA banner like hung up where Hawkeye is.
I mean, I guess that also makes like if you want to make reasons between like NASA, because if there's a banner there, right?
It's Bruce.
So that there's some kind of. I heard you, but I don't get the joke.
Bruce Banner. Looks like it's a solo podcast for the rest of the time.
I thought I was going to hit my cushion, but I actually hit the corner of my desk. That kind of hurt my head.
Oh, it sounded like you slammed your headphones down.
No, I slammed my head right into my desk.
Glad you cleared that
Anywho,
up. All right.
So because there's the NASA sign and all that, I'm saying because it's a Tesseract space and all that, and they're trying to figure out how you're able to activate wormholes and all that kind of stuff, you have NASA scientists in there to help S.H.I.E.L.D. along with Selvig. I don't know, just whatever. Let's move on.
Well, Selvig,
small point.
At this time, it feels like there's like when it first starts, like in Fury's walking through the base, it sounds like there's like a generic like iPhone alarm going off, like very faintly in the background. And I kept looking at my phone. I was like, "Am I like dreaming that I'm watching Avengers or something?"
That'd be a pretty good dream, honestly.
Yeah, honestly.
No, you're actually just being touched by the Mind Stone, and it's forcing you to rewatch.
That would suck. That would be a sucky dream. Like you're not in the Avengers. You're just dreaming you're watching the movie that exists. Like what?
I mean, at the same time, if you're like in Avengers, I feel like it's like a also highly likelihood. Like if you don't have any powers, you're gonna be like kind of screwed.
Hey, there's Hawkeye and Black Widow.
They're highly trained assassins. They're different.
Daniel, I haven't told you something. I can't really reveal it on the podcast.
Well,
back to the tank.
Yeah.
So we got our first case of Kobe Smulders. She plays Maria Hill.
Yes.
I think she does a really good job.
Oh no, she's a great Maria Hill.
Yeah, and actually, like, so there were some deleted scenes throughout the movie. She actually like butts heads with Fury a lot and doesn't really understand like like his style and like why he's putting so much faith into these superheroes. And there's like a really good payoff. You can actually see it. I'll talk about hopefully later. Remind me.
I will remind. I will be the iPhone app.
Okay.
High priority.
Cool. And then I'll wake up, be like, no, I thought I was recording. So they're walking down, like we said. Fury's talking about the Phase 2 stuff that we talk about, which is the guns powered by the Tesseract. And actually, so there's a really cool fact about Samuel L. Jackson here. So I think we've talked about this possibly before. So you know how obviously he has his eye patch, right?
Yeah.
So he read and memorized his lines like normal, just with his oh, I just hit my mic. Sorry, I was pretending to put my glasses on. Put it with glasses and just like reading it normally. And then when he put the eye patch on, some weird thing like triggered in his brain, and he could only like when he closed his eyes to remember the lines, he could only see like half the page. So he had to then go back and learn all of his lines like with his eye patch on or like with his left eye covered so that he could remember them like on the set. It was the weirdest thing he said.
It sounds like he has photographic memory, but then with that disabled, like he can't. Does he have photographic memory? Is that
I don't know.
Is that a thing? Like if you close one eye when you have photographic memory?
I don't know if it was him closing his eye or just literally just trying to remember, like he couldn't even remember it. I don't know.
That's weird.
I thought that was an interesting thing.
Yeah, that's very. So like later when they say, "Oh, he turns," he literally had to turn his script that way he can like, read it all the way through again.
Yeah, but then as Fury's walking in, there's a Dutch angle, and I literally almost like fell out of the couch. There's actually a few Dutch angles in this that I was surprised at. Not as many as Thor, thank goodness. But yeah, I feel like it's PTS Dutch angles.
I mean, also there's a lot of like Asgardian politics in this.
Hoo-ha.
So
yeah,
hoo-ha. So I guess there's an argument that could be made where you want to like take in the style from Thor a little bit more than the others because there's like more.
And you want to take in for all of them probably, but also
definitely.
Thor because Loki's the villain and
yeah.
But anyways, we found out the Tesseract's like kind of getting messed up. We see Hawkeye upstairs who's watching over it.
Upstairs. He's like in the rafters, like up in the corner. He's not.
It's
you say that like it's just a simple walk upstairs. He's like up like 5 stories underground still.
Yeah. Well, he comes down, and Jeremy Renner's arms in this were like very big,
heavy.
And the only reason I say that,
big, heavy.
or one of the reasons I say that, is because in Endgame, spoilers, when they like travel back in time, you can tell the scenes that were taken from Avengers and the scenes they like filmed him pretending to be from Avengers, but it was filmed in like 2018, 2017, whenever. Is you can tell I was looking like at Jeremy Renner's arms, and he's not like small, but he's definitely smaller than he was in 2012 for Avengers.
Yeah,
that's how I could tell what was like footage from the past and what was footage from the present. I was like, that's kind of cool.
Are you a present boy or are you a past boy? Or are you a future boy? Let me tell by your arm circumference.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, that's pretty cool though that you're able to tell that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
back to the tank. So Loki comes out, the blue beam shoots out of the Tesseract, and that portal to space effect looks really cool. What do you think of the VFX overall in this film, Daniel?
It's funny looking back at them. Like some of them you're like, okay, like when it comes, I think it's more with simulations, honestly, but like overall the effects are very good.
I agree.
You know, I mean,
with both of those statements.
It was 2012, you know, so it wasn't like forever ago.
Some things were very good, some things were iffy, and I thought some of the sets were a little like they felt like sets sometimes, like especially that opening thing we were talking about, like in space.
Yeah.
When he's on that like meteor, and we see that more of that later. When he has that like he does that like weird like space phone call, like it kind of feels like a set almost, and I really feel like with the introduction of Guardians, they finally nailed how space should look in the MCU, and I don't think up until this point they'd really explored that. So I think that's interesting looking back on.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I agree. It's like, especially what you're saying with space, it's like there's a lot of space you got to think about as well. Like not just, well, no,
space is big. Yes.
What I mean, like for example, like we brought up Guardians, where they bring up nowhere, and then they also like go through different civilizations, like understanding of how they're building with architecture and stuff. Like for example, with this, you're dealing with more structured stuff based on natural elements, like rocks, asteroids, and then there's pieces of that seem more sculpted.
Yes, definitely.
Which also I think helped make it seem like a set, you know. Whereas with Guardians, it's much more focused on astral elements, like the different forms of matter, where you're dealing with like gaseous elements, volumetric lighting, stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Combined with different elemental natures of like combining organic stuff stone.
The layering helps it. Yeah.
Along with manufactured parts.
Right.
You know, so that's what I agree with you where Guardians did nail that better.
Yeah, and we're going to have a special guest on for our Guardians episode. I've already talked to him, our good old friend. I won't spoil it. But anyways, back to the tank. So Loki comes out, and dude, he's
looking sweaty. He's freaking...
Well, he looks sweaty.
He's raged.
Dude, I love his updated hair. And dude, and he like kneels down and like looks up and smiles. You just know, oh shoot, this is a very different Loki than we left. And I love that opening scene. It literally just asserts his like just complete dominance over the situation when he kills all those people super fast.
I like how he kills like a bunch of the other SHIELD agents, and then there's Barton, and he's just like, you have heart. It's like,
he's got the plot armor.
How could you tell he had heart compared to the other guy?
Because he combat rolled out of the way. That's how he knew.
Well, I guess that's true. You know, like he did save Fury instead of like getting blasted. That's Loki. Honestly, he shows up and he's like, anyway, so I started blasting.
Yeah. I also like, I don't know if this was really intentional, but like when he shoots the spear and it disintegrates a guy, it looks similar but distinctly different than the Tesseract disintegration effect. They're both blue, but the Tesseract has like a darker blue and it's more like you can see particles. This one kind of looked like more like a cloudy, wispy blue, lighter blue almost. Yeah. So I don't know if that was intentional, but I like both effects, and I like that they were slightly different because they're different stones, but they're still both stones.
You know what we should have done? We should have compared the beams between the Tesseract, the Mind Stone when it's still blue within the blue gem chassis thing,
right?
And then also when Vision's using it.
When
Vision uses it, it's
yellow.
Pretty much a solid beam. Well, yeah, it's yellow, but it's like I'm thinking more about like the properties of it. It's like a solid beam.
Oh, right.
But I'm also not sure if there's like more like particle effects alongside that.
We'll get to Vision, Daniel. We're not there yet.
Who's Vision? We don't know.
Well, also speaking of Jarvis, Paul Bettany again did all of his voiceover in a 2-hour. It was over a phone call with Joss Whedon. Just took 2 hours, and he was just coaching him through what he needed him to say. So it was another easy job. But I feel like he paid for that in the next Avengers film.
Oh, dude, definitely. He's like, okay, now this time, because your last 2 jobs are easy, or 3, you're going to be completely painted.
Yeah.
Oh.
Also, apparently there's like discrepancy over Vision's color, like if he's purple or red. What do you think?
Red.
Okay, that's what I think too. But I think what it is in the movies he's more red, but I think in the comics he's often painted as purple. So I think people got like confused about that.
Yeah, he's more painted like a purple. I feel like when it comes to MCU, it matters more of the lighting because he's very Sheen.
Oh, definitely. Sheen from Jimmy Neutron. Yeah.
Ultra Lord. Vision is just Ultra Lord.
Oh, I have not heard that name in a long time.
I just watched Jimmy Neutron the other day, actually. That was freaking brought me back.
What if, like, at the post-credit scene, instead of Thanos turning, it's Ultra Lord?
No, it's like evil Jimmy.
Oh my gosh. Or Big Head Sheen. Okay, back to the take. So Loki, like we said, just killed a bunch of guys. I love the big pullback shot of the reveal that, like, of all the carnage he's just created over that battle. Because we usually see Loki pulling the strings, and Tom Hiddleston even said that this time he really felt like he was able to get into Loki's mischief side, whereas in Thor, he was kind of behind the scenes, and this time he really got to, like, get in the field, get his hands dirty kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Is it like, what was this? Like, in Thor, he pretty much just did, like, oh, I'm going to clone myself, I'm over here now. Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, until like the final boss fight with Thor.
Wow, was Tom Hiddleston just in the call with me?
But then again, I like you said, he was pretty much just doing more mischief compared to like what we just saw like in the beginning. He was just like
mischief managed,
straight up murder.
That's Harry Potter. Yeah, that's not Harry Potter. Straight up murder. All right, so Barton gets mind controlled. What are your thoughts on that? Because I have a couple thoughts on that whole device and how he's pretty like. What are your thoughts on Barton pretty much being like a villain for half the movie?
I think it kind of paints him in like a bad light, but at the same time, it's like once we don't know it now, but it's like the mind gems. It's like one of the ultimate powers of the universe.
Yeah.
So I think it's forgivable, especially with how he's able to recover. I feel like there should have been more on his recovery end, honestly, than just getting whacked in the head.
But didn't you see that the color grading and everything? And it was
when he's like on his acid trip on his way down.
Yeah, you're right.
I wonder if that's like what's for them like the whole time. They're just like freaking on acid, and they're like just Oh yeah.
Well, you know,
Loki.
the whole time that they have like the blue eyes signifying their mind control.
Yeah.
That was actually added in post, and like they didn't even know they were gonna do that until during post production. Like the actors, when they saw it, they were like, "Oh, we didn't know you were gonna do that. That's really cool. It helps my performance. Thanks."
It kind of makes you think though, like, wouldn't it be like, I get that they didn't decide to do it in post, but do you think it would look better with like,
contacts? Well, honestly, I thought it was contacts. I didn't think it looked bad at all. Did you?
I thought it looked good. I mean, I could tell it was in contacts because it looked like there was still like an animation effect over top of it.
Well, I thought it was contacts like enhanced by VFX.
Oh, yeah,
But I
yeah.
didn't know it was just VFX. I don't know.
I guess that makes sense. That'd probably be the best thing to do it like both. I don't know.
Right. Also, apparently contacts can be very difficult. Like, I don't know if we talked about this in the Phantom Menace because we were kind of just getting started, but when Darth Maul had to put in his contacts, Darth Maul only blinks once in the Phantom Menace because it was so hard for him to blink. And he blinks when he gets cut in half. He like is in shock and he blinks. But other than that, he never blinks.
I feel like it's like hardest when you're like in full makeup like that.
Yeah.
As well as the contacts, because then it's like if you blink, it's like doom.
Doom. The video game.
Back to the tank. So
Martin's getting mind controlled. Also, it's not convenient, but like people have been like, why does it matter? Why does he have to get touched in the chest to get mind controlled? And I say, sir, because then Tony can't get mind controlled at the end, and it's a good laugh.
Well, yeah, there's that. Also, like if you're thinking like hit marker wise, and yeah, I'm saying hit marker like it's Call of Duty or something like that. The easiest point to toss is somebody's chest. You know, it's like you don't want to like raise it all the way up to their head and be like, Mufasa, you.
Yeah,
know?
what if you trip and just Mufasa?
Yeah.
You mean Simba?
Yeah, that's what I meant. I don't know why I said Mufasa. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. But also, sorry, back to what we were talking about with Hawkeye getting mind controlled for half the film. I feel like so a lot of people think like Hawkeye is like one of the most useless members of the
Avengers?
The Avengers, yeah, the team. And I feel like part of that is because a lot of the time the team was growing and had the character growth, Hawkeye was on the opposite side. Like I feel like a lot of people give more lenience. They don't give all the lenience, but some more lenience to Black Widow, probably subconsciously because she was part of that initial team as it was building. Like Hawkeye kind of was on his own, which I feel like that kind of sucks. And I think they tried to make up for it in Ultron when they were like, he's the glue that holds us together, and oh, he's got a family, and he's the safe house and everything, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like that aspect was like, there's more to Barton than just
Then meets the eye.
being the spy. Oh god! Imagine if he was a transformer.
Well, his bow like whips out like. That's actually like it's so funny seeing the behind the scenes because it's VFX, the bow like whipping out. So he literally just has
He just has to like shake his hand.
No, he has like
with like a rod.
He has like the rod, like the part that doesn't like move. So he just like punches out with that. And that's it.
I don't know whether I'd be intimidated by that or if I'd just be like laughing at it. Like imagine there's a guy in front of you and he's like fist pumps the air with like half of a bow that doesn't have like a bow.
Like freeze frames like Breakfast Club at the end. Credits start.
Okay, I feel like we need to move ahead because we're still in the base. You know, there's a lot.
Okay, so Fury grabs the Tesseract and then just tries to walk out, which is pretty funny.
Yeah,
and Loki's so polite. Please don't. And he gives a little villain speech here, and it shows why he's a compelling villain because he believes he's right and he's desired to rule. His whole like people want to be free of freedom. He's compelling because he is someone that that you could believe truly in the bottom of their heart believes that, and he will do everything in his power to get his goal. I feel like Ultron didn't work as well because the first act was just setting up Ultron, the villain himself, you know, whereas this, we already like within the first like fight scene, you know, Loki is not to be like messed with.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Ultron had its pros, it also had its cons, like plot wise, but
right. I like Ultron.
Ultron's good.
Like the film.
It definitely aids in the overall arc of the MCU.
Of all the characters.
Yeah.
That's another thing. It's very tough, I think, in this film to have a lot of character development because
there's so many people you have to bounce
around.
Because like they all had their own individual films.
Right. But I think they did a good job of it.
But bringing them together for the first time and having them interact with each other, I feel like that right there would probably where you'd have the most growth.
Just a challenge in itself. Yeah.
It's the challenge itself. It's also where you'd have to have, okay, so
this
is how
working
this character
together
interacts with that character.
Exactly. Those relationships and building those.
Yeah, exactly.
And also also just over the whole MCU, I think that's what works so well about it is these actors, you can even tell, like I was watching some interviews for stuff and they kind of seem not timid, but like not as open with each other during the first few like interviews. And then by the time like we get to like Infinity War and Endgame, there you can tell like it's like going to see all your buddies again from like high school and stuff. It's like, it's a great time.
It's like you haven't seen each other in so long and you're like, hey, let's go do another movie. Yeah.
Let's see like another $1 billion.
Oh, you die in this one? Oh,
oh, rip.
Sorry.
But like you also see that evolve with the actors and their characters over the films kind of stuff. And each of them talk about how they get more familiar with each other and the relationships between their characters. And sometimes like their own personalities bleed through and it becomes like this beautiful thing that just grows. And we get to experience that because it's caught on screen. I think that's amazing.
You mean like how Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark?
Oh, yeah. Well, also, he was actually very pivotal, a lot of people said, in bringing everyone together and making them feel comfortable because he kind of took on this like role of being like the godfather, they called him, of the MCU, and he really started it all to his film. Mark Ruffalo, especially being the newest person, said that he felt very welcome with Robert, and Robert did a great job of making him feel safe and able to like just be himself and do his job well. So I think that speaks very, very highly of Robert Downey Jr.
Just behind the scenes. It's okay. It's okay, Mark. You can be good. Okay, you're good.
You can be good.
Just turn big and green, and you'll be fine. Okay?
But anyways, back to the tank. Do you remember? Were you there when Quavion watched Fury get shot?
Yes, and he like gasped.
Yeah, because for the first like 5 minutes of this film, he was like, "Who would we all be in the Avengers?" And he was like, "I would be Fury for sure." And then Fury gets shot, and he went, It was like it was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I remember that. Dude. That was forever ago.
That was a long time ago. Quavion, if you're listening, miss you, bro.
Listen to the podcast, Quavion. We talk about you.
Leave a review, Quavion. But yeah, so the group goes away, like the gang. Selvig has been mind controlled. Loki and Hawkeye, they all start to leave and run into Maria Hill, who's like, who the heck is
they
this
also
guy?
Stole the
Tesseract. That's important. They just left without it. Oh, also, if you look closely, like Loki limps away, so he's not totally unstoppable. Yeah. And then the building like collapses and there's this car chase going on. Fury is heading out.
The building, it's like the whole campus.
Well, right. Yeah, you know the like where the car chase happens, like those underground tunnels?
Yeah.
That was actually tunnels in Philadelphia where they grow mushrooms. That was where that was filmed.
The good kind of mushrooms or the bad kind of mushrooms?
I don't know. The documentary, like the PG-13 Marvel DVD, did not specify.
Yeah, we have people growing mushrooms down here. We just decided to film. You know, if you see some like homeless man on the side, we just gave him some shield outfit and we just kept on rolling. You know, it was all fine.
But yeah, so Fury is heading to the helicopter. I really like it when the helicopter like takes off when he's
and, like all the ground is like
it's like crumbling,
collapsing underneath him.
It was apparently really difficult to film the helicopter like shooting at Loki in the car and stuff because like as soon as they got super close to the ground in the desert, all the dust would kick up and you like couldn't see anything in the camera, so they had to be very specific with where everything was placed and everything. And then Fury jumps out of the helicopter. He's a bad A. I feel like this is also really cool to see Fury just in action. I don't know if we've really seen him before doing all this actiony stuff.
No, you've really only seen him like just show up in like Stark's house or like other places.
He's like, I have an eye patch. Get better at being yourself. Yeah.
He's the ultimate life coach.
Yeah. Dude, if Samuel Jackson was my life coach, I feel like, I don't know. I just brag about that and not actually get anything done.
Yeah, my life coach is Samuel Jackson, you know, he's no biggie.
Oh, what have you accomplished? Oh, nothing. All right, so we are at the Avengers main title sequence. Oh, gave me chills.
Well, we're at war, and then title sequence.
Yeah, they were actually, Joss Whedon was trying to decide what should the line be right before, like, the Avengers title sequence happens, but they were just like, we don't need a line, so they just, like, panned around Nick Fury's face, and they're like, yeah, that's good enough. And then it's like the Avengers title sequence.
I mean, I feel like the war line was like pretty good. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
And then the pan around.
Yeah. So next we start getting into them introducing every single hero, which they had to think a lot about, like who to introduce first, like what the order was going to be. Apparently Kevin Feige was very helpful and instrumental in kind of lining that up. And some of the stuff that like looks really cool when Cap's like, you should have left it in the water, and then it cuts to Tony in the water. Like that wasn't planned, but like they were like, what if we just order it this way? And they're like, oh, that works really well. Okay. okay, cool.
That wasn't planned, really.
No, he said that wasn't planned.
That's pretty smart, or lucky, or cool.
Yeah.
So we start off with Natasha.
Black Widow. Yeah. What are your thoughts on her hair before we go on?
It's good.
I personally don't like this hair, actually. I mean, like, I like it, but not...
It's not my favorite.
Not compared to other...
But, like, it works.
What's your favorite Black Widow hair?
Oh, God.
Mine's either Cap 2 or Iron Man 2. They're so good.
Yeah, I was going to say Cap or Iron Man 2 because, you know, I like the curliness, you know?
The curls.
Yeah.
I like the straight in Cap 2 as well, how it flows when she's fighting.
That's the thing. I don't like the Cap 2
really
that much. Like, it's okay. I don't really like the straightness of it. Like, when it comes to hair, I prefer texture over uniformity, if that makes sense.
Okay.
No, I mean for like, as like...
Is that your least favorite? Is Cap 2 your least favorite?
No. I think my least favorite might have been Blonde from Infinity War.
Mine's Infinity War, I think, yeah.
It's like short and straight, you know? So it's just, I don't know. It was weird.
I just didn't like the blonde. I don't know.
No, I thought the blonde was fine. I just didn't like the cut, you know?
Yeah, probably.
Like, hair is like a big factor when it comes to character design.
Yeah, definitely. I like in Endgame, like the red kind of meshing with the blonde, like the blonde tips.
The yellow? Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
That was better. That's definitely a lot better.
Yeah. I like when she's eating that sandwich.
And it also makes a lot more sense because it's like if she's still like being a spy. Yeah, she's like, I'm going to throw the sandwich at you. Yeah.
All right. Back to the tag. Let's not talk about this Endgame sandwich. So the goon gets the phone call from Coulson. I like how Coulson just goes off like, you're at this location. We have this coming in. It will blow up the whole block before you get to the lobby.
We have an F-15 coming in. Yeah.
It was actually the only scene that was the exact same from Joss Whedon's original first draft.
Really?
Everything else like had something changed. Yeah. Which just goes to show you how much work and like rewriting goes into movies.
That's crazy.
So for this scene, the floor was all like lightly padded. Joss said that the stunt coordinator said that every time your director says your like character has no sleeves, the stunt coordinator just like freaks out because you can't pad up like their arms or anything. So like they had to put slight padding on the entire ground and like
environment,
just the way they shot it. Yeah, and they did some VFX to make it look like a hardwood concrete floor.
When she does that freaking flip and breaks the chair.
The chair. That was something Joss Whedon has always wanted to do like in one of his projects, and he finally got to do it.
It's like, hey, let's just flip it. Flip it good. Yeah, no, that was pretty cool. It's definitely good thing to add there. It seemed like very like Black Widow thing to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. This part also establishes Black Widow and Hawkeye's relationship and friendship because she's like, I'm working. Then as soon as she's told that he's been compromised, she's like snaps to attention. It's like, all right, I'm in. Let's go.
I gotta go.
Yeah. I'm a head out.
All right, Russian guy, I'm a head out. She then is told to go get the big guy.
Yep.
And she's like, I can handle Stark, but he doesn't really trust me. And then Coulson's like, no, you go get the big guy. I got Stark. And she's like, fudge. And then we cut to this little girl running through like this marketplace to go find Banner.
Calcutta.
Yeah, Calcutta.
It's the same location that they filmed the Arctic for the Captain America flashbacks, that same stage, and Germany, and New Jersey, and World War II, all in this film. They were all filmed in that same Calcutta set.
Jeez.
Yeah. I feel like this one also, I was talking about how sometimes things feel like sets. This one did not feel like a set. I felt like I was in like Calcutta.
This felt like you were there.
Yeah, the lighting. Oh,
I didn't like even question that.
It was so good.
The lighting definitely helped out a lot, you know?
Yeah. And we also get introduction to our new Hulk.
Well, our new Bruce Banner.
Yeah. Mark Ruffalo.
I mean, technically it is a new Hulk because it's modeled differently and you have a different VFX team. So I guess you can also say different Hulk.
What do you think of Mark Ruffalo here?
He's really good. No, I feel like he fits a good Bruce.
Yeah, well, he was, like we said, he was originally considered for the Incredible Hulk, but they ultimately went with Ed Norton because he looked more like a skinny nerd. But I feel like Mark Ruffalo does a great job. I love what he does every time he like fidgets with his hands and everything. Just everything he brings to that character. And I feel like that's very intimidating, like we said, with how Robert Downey Jr. made him feel welcome. Like, he's the only one of the main six that it's his first time playing this character. That must be a lot coming into, especially a character as big and iconic as the Hulk.
Especially when it's like a reworked character, as the Hulk.
Yeah.
That's like definitely crazy to think about. Because one, they already know the direction which these movies are going to be going, which is going to be more of them, right?
Right.
So he doesn't want to just to be like a one-off. I mean, when he signed, it was for like a multiple picture deal or something like that, I'm assuming?
Yeah, definitely.
So he knew that he was like, he's like, okay, I need to like set this, not just for now, but also for future films, you know?
Right, yeah, so get it right.
So there's definitely got to be some weight that comes with that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm eating a mint.
You got to make sure your breath smells good for the podcast. podcast.
Yeah, the 4D coming out. Smell. That'd be gross.
That'd be very gross.
Also, I love when he's introduced, he like walks through that door and he's like, should have got paid up front, Banner, so that you know, like, that he's Bruce Banner. Like, when have you ever, if I feel like I wouldn't have, if I walk into something and not get paid out, I wouldn't have been like, I should have gotten paid up front, Sar. Like, I wouldn't, I would not say that.
I would definitely not say that with my last name. Like, oh man, I should have been paid first, Cardona. You know, it's just so long. It's just like, why would you say that?
Yeah.
Banner is like, that's like 2 syllables. Okay, so that's maybe reasonable, but like yours is also like 1.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. It's just,
I just
like,
wouldn't speak about myself in the third person like that. I don't know.
maybe because he's Bruce Banner, he's just like,
He's a weird dork.
he's got to split himself up from the Hulk, you know? So he's
True.
like, I'm Banner. So he's like, should I got paid up front? Banner.
But luckily, that was Natasha's cue to come around the corner. She's like, oh, thank goodness he announced he's here. I wasn't sure because he's not Ed Norton anymore. And then she starts talking, giving her spiel.
Oh, this is Banner? And she like whips out a picture. She's like, it's Ed Norton. She's like, it's
like the Office meme. It's the same picture.
Same picture. One thing I don't get is like, why would she have a pistol like stored under the table?
I don't know. But something that's really good here, before that whole pistol thing, there's a quote here, and it says, Bruce says, I don't every time get like what I want. And then he pushes the cradle. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Like the baby carriage thing. And that...
He like nudged it.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a double meaning, because obviously he can't have kids like we talked about in...
He can't be with Betty!
Yeah, we talked about it with Betty. He literally can't have kids. And then he also doesn't want to be the Hulk. So that's very good double meaning. And apparently, Joss, I watched the director's commentary, surprise, and Joss said, after I wrote that down, he was like, oh, that was a really good quote. It has a double meaning. And I was like, oh... I'm so good. But then he also said that apparently that wasn't like originally, like there was no swing that he was supposed to push. That was just on the set on the day. And he was like, that would be brilliant if he pushes that just gently. So he was like, hey, push that gently. And then it like, that just became a thing. I thought that's really great flexibility and thinking on your feet.
Hey. Push that gently. Just imagine hearing that from your director.
It's also interesting to listen to Joss Whedon. I think he is one of the biggest like geeks out of the directors I've listened to before. Like I feel like he's geek first, filmmaker second, where a lot of the other ones are filmmaker first, geek second,
and then geek.
Right. So yeah. So it's interesting to listen to him talk, and he's genuinely excited about all this stuff. I like how Natasha pushes over her like slide up phone because it was 2011 when they were filming this, or 2010 or whenever.
It's so crazy to think about, like generation wise.
Yeah.
Just how technology's already changed so much since then.
Yeah.
We're old, dude. We're freaking old.
I know. I love when like he goes, stop lying to me, and then he just immediately like, I'm sorry, that was mean. The heartbeat sound effect is really good here, and then she tells everyone to stand down and everything.
We're alone, huh? No, you weren't. But then again, that makes you think, like, what were those people going to do that's different than what they tried before?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, they had like, you could tell that some of them had like looked like electric or some kind of sonic devices,
right,
that were surrounding the perimeter. But I don't. So it's the Hulk, my guy.
Maybe they were Nerf guns. They're like, maybe our bullets are too hard and they're just not working. We need something softer.
What if we tickle him to calm him down?
That would be a very different movie.
Just need Spider-Man to come in and tell him a joke. He'll laugh himself back.
But anyways, so we cut to Fury talking to the like war council or whatever, those like dark heads. And even back then they were like skeptical of forming this team, so that kind of leads into Civil War, how they are again skeptical. And apparently this was additional photography they did with the war council. Like they originally, and you've seen the behind the scenes, they filmed the floating heads. They actually had them like very brightly lit, and they weren't as menacing, so they redid it so that they were like really dark. You couldn't even really like see their faces.
Like menacing, you couldn't tell who they are.
Exactly. Yeah. The people that nuke New York later.
Yeah.
But anyways, Joss Whedon was like, they look too much like Weatherman, so we had to light them differently.
It's like Anchorman. You see like Will Ferrell on the screen.
We've got a small chance of alien invasion followed by a light nuke.
Oh, you know, the regular New York.
But anyway, so then he's like, wars are won by soldiers, and then we cut to Captain America, who's doing the punching bag. Dude, there was actually a ton of stuff cut from Captain America, a ton of stuff of him just adjusting and living in like the real world. You know that waitress at the end that like we follow forever for some reason?
Yeah,
she was actually in the beginning.
Isn't there a part with like her,
yeah,
and like them talking and stuff like that?
Yeah, she's kind of like flirting with him and just asking if he's waiting for Iron Man because he's sitting under his tower in a cafe. And that was actually the first Stan Lee cameo. He leans over, is like, ask for her number kind of thing, but it was all cut. There was a ton of Captain America stuff.
I remembered that, and I'm like, like, where the hell is that in the movie?
Yeah, it was supposed to be here.
I like paused it when it got to New York. I'm like what? What?
Yeah, it was supposed to be here at the beginning.
Why is my brain this is an actual thing that I saw, right? And I was actually like running through the plot of that whole scene in my head. I'm like, and then Stanley shows up, yeah, and then Cap's like, radio? What's going on? What?
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's nice to know that I'm not crazy.
Well,
I'm still a little crazy, okay? But not as crazy as Cap in this moment when he's thinking back about Peggy and everything else he's lost back in time. And then he punches the freaking punching bag across the room.
I really like the cutting with the punch bags.
Yeah, the cutting was very well. Like the raising in intensity.
Yeah.
Like with his punches to like the memories and then...
And literally, like, I feel like it's fine they cut everything else. Like, that tells you everything you need to know about Cap and his adjustment to today's life kind of stuff.
He's struggling. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. But yeah, so Fury walks in and Cap obviously knows the Tesseract better than most because he dealt with it in his movie that we just covered.
He became a capsicle with
Thanks
it.
again, Zach, for being on. Yeah, I didn't realize that line was set in this film later. I thought you made that up last week.
No, I totally made it up.
That you didn't.
No, I stole it.
But it's still a really funny line. I feel like it's also just at this point I was thinking how great of a job they did recruiting everyone because they literally have to like recite the same information, same dialogue, get the same information across to each person like 6 times. But they like do it in a way that's not annoying. Like, oh my gosh, I've heard this so many times. It's Loki. We get it. Like they're talking about kind of like different things. And also it makes sense that different things would convince these different heroes why they need to come in to work together.
Exactly. Like one of the things I like is how later when we like get to Stark, you know, Coulson doesn't even tell him. He just gives him the thing. And then like Tony's like, okay, I'm going to just do my homework and fondue later maybe with Pepper.
Joss said the way they did this though, they left it all to the edit. So pretty much they kind of said a lot more and made sure they got everything they needed because you'd rather have more than not enough. Yeah. And then once they were watching it back, they were like, okay, this seems repetitive. We don't think they need to hear that. So they did record everything like probably 6 times and then they were like cut back. Like, how can we convincingly do this so that's not overbearing? I thought they did a good job. Anyways, we're in the ocean with Stark underwater.
Yeah.
It's the first time we see Stark Tower. He flies over the bridge for the final battle right as he's flying up to Stark Tower. That bridge for the final battle, I've been there. It's in New York. It's by Grand Central Station. My dad loves that bridge. Every time we go by it, we're like, oh, that's where Avengers happened. And it's like great.
I haven't been there in a long time. I've also been on that bridge. And it's funny, like thinking like when you're actually on it and then like you look up and then like thinking about like the actual height of like Stark Tower, you're like,
yeah,
dang, that must have been tall. Because the building right there, like they make it seem like it's small, you know?
Oh yeah.
Compared to like it's crazy, but it's actually pretty big.
We get a really cool de-suit scene. Yeah, unsuiting scene.
Yeah, like him like landing. I'm not in. I'm actually out. Oh.
This was one of the first things that was prevised before the script was done. So they had it from before they even started filming, just because they knew they wanted this and it was gonna be a very cool shot, and it was.
I mean, anytime you have Tony doing like a armor up or armor down scene, it's always gonna be a cool shot.
Yeah, it also again shows his evolution and learning about like evolving and
that's what I was about to say,
making it more convenient for him and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like just him being like, okay, I can just have this dock here that I can just land on. Where like in the previous films it's been like irritating for him to get the suit on and off.
Yeah.
Or at least it was in the first one. And second one he was obviously getting better with like the suitcase one and all that. But yeah, it's cool to see. It's cool to see like how he's moving further and further.
But then we see Pepper. Coulson's like breaking in pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say RDJ actually was the reason that Gwyneth Paltrow was in this film. Like he really pushed hard for her because Joss originally wanted everyone to just kind of be isolated, and that's what kind of brings them together, not bring other like side characters. But then people convince him like that's dumb. This is the MCU, not like just pick and choose characters. So like Robert Downey Jr. actually was like, I really think it would benefit Tony's character to show him and Pepper's relationship, how that has evolved. And I think it's shown in a great way. Like they feel more like lighthearted and bouncing off each other, more comfortable around each other. I think it's a great addition.
I agree. I feel like that would have been like, imagine if it was just Tony. He comes in, Coulson breaks in, right? And then it's just them talking.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like he would have been. I feel like it would probably got like an angrier tone off of Tony rather than like his like
angrier tone, Tony.
Angrier tone. You get what I mean, right? Like instead of having Pepper there, where he can just have like jabs back and forth or whatever about Phil and like
Phil.
Then he'd be directly jabbing at Phil.
Yeah. Oh, also you can see in the scene Pepper's obviously barefoot. Tony, like RDJ, has 3 to 4 inch platform shoes on so that he appears taller than Pepper. You can see it in one of the wide shots when he walks away. And also, there's great character continuity with when Phil comes in, he tries to hand Tony the thing, and he's like, I don't like being handed things. That's back from Iron Man 1 and 2. Doesn't like being handed things. So Pepper takes it and then does like a little sneaky swap.
And then there's a little switcheroo.
Yeah. And then Tony walks over and throws up all the Avengers like profiles on their screen and everything. There's footage from the Hulk, from the Incredible Hulk, and like the Destroyer, Cap Frozen, and then Clark Gregg. So he's obviously Phil. I really like Pepper talks about the cellist. Do you know anything about the cellist?
Yeah, because
like it's his love
lady
interest. Yeah.
Even though like he never really talked to her, he kind of just like followed her. And then
it's in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., isn't it?
Yeah, it is in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's where they went over it. And then there's this whole thing where he's like following her and makes sure that she's safe and stuff like that, but then like he never interacts with her.
Yeah, apparently like, so the backstory is like this cellist is being from Portland and she's like being hunted by someone. So Coulson is assigned to like rescue her and stuff, and then they kind of fall in love and start dating, and then she has to go back to Portland because she plays for the Portland Symphony Orchestra. She's stalked by Marcus Daniels, who is Blackout, and he can control the Dark Force in the comics. Yeah, and apparently Coulson would go up and see her perform occasionally. And actually, Stark later, when he's walking in to the Avengers room, he's actually talking to Coulson about her and says that he'll fly Coulson up to see her in Portland, just pick a weekend, which I think is really cool. Yeah.
You know, just bros being dudes.
Yeah, but then we also see Coulson with Cap and the Quinjet now, and they're heading towards the helicarrier. I really like that, the Coulson whole being like
I watched you while you sleep.
The fanboy thing.
Little fanboy.
They almost, and there's a gag reel, and like Coulson leans in for a kiss during the gag reel.
Really?
Yeah, it's really funny. Chris Evans just lost it. Oh, speaking of like the funny like relationships and stuff, there was one day when all the actors were in town, because often they weren't all in town. Sorry, not one day. There were only a few days that they were all in town. And one night, Chris Evans texted in like their group chat, "Assemble," and then
they all came together.
Yeah, they all went out for a night, which I think that's freaking awesome.
Just imagine that, being like one of the Avengers, and then you get a text saying "assemble." Like,
Clark Gregg said it was the best text he'd ever received.
Like, how would you even react to that? You know, you're just like, it's time. It's actually time. It's happening.
I know.
Oh my God, it's happening.
What's the procedure? Stay calm.
So yeah, now we're on the helicarrier, which we don't know is a helicarrier yet.
I also I like this phase of Cap where he doesn't understand like pop culture yet, and he's like
he doesn't get like any reference or anything.
Because it's like he's like a Stephen Hawking, and he's like, what? He's like a
really smart guy.
It's also the same with Thor at this point.
Yeah, I feel like Tony definitely does help them both out a lot, a lot when it comes to like catching up.
And that is also part of their evolution of characters throughout the MCU. Okay, so we also quickly cut to Loki here in this underground base, and then there's that cool transition to space again where we see
the talk that they have about you'll have your war.
It's called the Other, the guy with the two thumbs.
The thumber?
That's also probably a really difficult shot, the tracking because it's a moving shot when they transition, and then the VFX, like the 3D tracking. It's very difficult.
But I'm saying you call the guy the Other. I'm calling him the thumber.
Yeah. Oh, ha, got it. Okay.
Took you a bit there.
Oh, also, apparently, part of the reason that set might feel a little empty is because they only had 8 feet of set to work with.
Really?
And the rest of it is digital. Yeah.
I guess that's forgivable, you know?
Yeah.
And really, all it really is used for is helping us understand Loki's side of the plot, like his motivations and stuff like that, and also like his deal.
When he's working with someone. Yeah.
His loan, I should say. I feel like we just said loan at the same time, but the delay.
Yeah.
So that way we both.
In my screen, it was
said it, and then like
it was loan at the same time.
Neither of us laughed because we both like were owning the joke.
Just laugh now. I'll put it in.
Okay, that was a fake laugh. That was like a rocket laugh. Mine was like an actual laugh because I was laughing at the fact that we didn't laugh.
Okay, it's fine. All right, so we get to...
Jake. Wow. So, yeah, we're on the helicarrier. Natasha's like, we're here.
This is a pivotal moment. This is the first time Natasha and Steve meet. Like
Wait, is that really?
They have a big history and they develop a relationship. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Yeah, it is.
And also, like, I feel like, Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson have a big history. They've acted together in a few things. Their first movie they acted in together was in 2004. It was called The Perfect Score, and it was a movie about teenagers stealing the answer sheet to the SATs.
Yeah, did they also like fall in love or something like that? Or am I thinking of another one?
I don't know. I didn't see The Perfect Score. I just looked up the trailer, and I was like, wow, this is some very early 2000s hair.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. I didn't even realize that when I was watching. I was like, this is the first time that they actually meet up.
Yeah. So this whole helicarrier thing, this obviously wasn't like an actual aircraft carrier. They couldn't film on one of those, but they filmed on like an airstrip in like the desert. And Joss Whedon said it was so so hot that like his sneakers on one day like melted into the tarmac when they were filming.
Ooh,
Crazy.
Yeah, that must have sucked.
I also like, this is also when Bruce and Cap first meet, and I like how Steve is very like gentlemanlike, and like obviously Bruce is very self-conscious about his condition.
His Hulkness.
Yeah, and Steve just like doesn't care, and he's just trying to make everyone feel welcome, and he's already like, kind of like falling into that leadership position almost very early on. There's traces of that here.
Yeah, I agree. I also like how there's a great contrast with that interaction compared to how Tony and Bruce first meet later on too.
But also I think that it's shown here when Hulk like literally he takes everything like, oh, you're concerned about me and my condition, like it's all about me, and I'm such a nuisance to everyone, oh my gosh, poor me. And Tony, despite his weird way about going about it, like I feel like he really helps Bruce in his arc and realizing that the Hulk does not define him, and he can use the Hulk, like this accident that happened to him, for good.
To his advantage.
Exactly. Like he did. We talked about this way back in Iron Man and Hulk, how like Bruce and Tony, and they even talk about it here, they both had this accident, and how they are reacting to it is impacting their lives in very different ways.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of cool.
No, I agree. It's like they have that conversation later on when they're in the lab. Tony's talking about like how you're able to control it and how it's ultimately up to him to determine like how it affects him.
Yeah. Late one night working in the lab, you do the mash, you do the Hulk smash, you do the mash, you do the graveyard bash. All right. Oh, was that your fake laugh to get back at me? Now I have to keep all this in. Dang it. I thought I could edit around it until you said that, or until you did that.
There's no other way. Anywho, so they're all meeting each other. They're all talking.
Well, the helicarrier like
it goes off.
Takes off, and there's only 2 real planes on that helicarrier. Actually, the rest were the Quinjets, obviously were CGI. Then they go inside to like the main lobby, I guess, of the helicarrier, which is a really cool set idea, and apparently it was very slippery. Like Joss Whedon said that like he was like praises the extras for not slipping every time they're like running around during takes.
That's where I didn't think, like, what did they use to build it? Do you know?
I have no idea, but apparently if you film it from like the front and you look down, it kind of looks like it looks very similar to the Eagle like shield logo design, like with the people in the wings and stuff.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I can see it now. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they spent 3 weeks in that set, and apparently by the time it was done, they were like, oh my gosh, let's get out of this freaking Eagle death trap. And then they immediately get to work. Banner asks what they've gone through, and they pretty much Dark Knight us, and they're like, we're sweeping every wireless phone. And you can kind of see a look from Steve, and he looks very skeptical, like that feels like a huge invasion of privacy. I think that's kind of the start of him maybe feeling uneasy about
like S.H.I.E.L.D. and like what they
Fury,
do.
which is, comes to fruition later. And apparently Mark Ruffalo had a lot of science jargon that he only had 2 hours of sleep the night before his first day, which was his first scene with Samuel L. Jackson, so he was very nervous. But then Samuel L. Jackson told him that about his whole eye patch thing, like how he was forgetting lines because he could only see half the page when he remembered, and then that made Mark Ruffalo feel better.
Just imagine that, like, he starts like remembering his lines, and then like he just pauses and he's like, mother.
Yeah.
And then there's just Mark like confused on the side. He's like, is this normal? Is this what he normally does?
But anyway, so Banner then is shown to his lab by Natasha, and I really like her outfit. She has like the black and red, which is kind of her color schemes, but it's in her normal like common clothes. Kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree. Like when she first picked up the cap, I noticed that. I was like, that's smart. You know, that's really smart.
And a lot of these scenes they actually were writing as they were filming, because like just the way the production schedule lined up, like they had to start filming, so they were like writing as they were filming, which can be very
tense,
stressful. Yeah. Also at this point, Selvig's like, I need Iridium, and Barton and Loki's like, all right, we're gonna get that. Apparently, so that whole like this that launches into the next sequence, but that was like Joss's, I think, either friend or brother, I think it was his brother, that suggested that, because originally Loki was just gonna go out and get captured, because like obviously that'd probably still be within his character, like just going out, because that was part of his plan to get captured. But like Joss's brother was like, why doesn't he like do it for something? So they have like the whole MacGuffin of like, we need this rare element to stabilize the Tesseract.
I think it was a good call to add that, because it definitely makes more sense.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Loki's out killing. Why would he just let us capture him, you know?
It was still very skeptical, like after the whole battle between Thor and Iron Man and Cap, when he's still like on the cliff.
Just sitting up there.
Have you seen How It Should Have Ended for that?
No. How did that go?
It's so funny. Like they battle, and then like Loki's up on the top of the mountain. He's like, hee, I'm still here. And then like Tony's like, isn't it very suspicious why he's still up there? And then Loki's like, I'll never tell. And then Cap's like, we cannot take him back to the helicarrier. And they like put him in like shield jail somewhere. Like just stop his plan.
Just put him somewhere else.
Yeah.
I feel like he could have just done the thing where it's like you put Mjolnir like on top of him.
Right.
And then like you're good. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Just make him talk. Peel his toenails or something like that. I don't know why that's the first form of torture I go to. Can you do that to an Asgardian?
Daniel, I can safely say that in all of my research, that did not come up. All right, so back to the tank. Cap agrees to sign Coulson's vintage cards, and Joss is a collector himself, so he like wrote that dialogue and was very excited about that. And then Baldy McHydra finds Loki, who is out getting the iridium. I didn't realize that was Baldy McHydra.
Keep on forgetting that he called Sitwell Baldy McHydra.
Oh, that's Sitwell. Okay. Oh, and then here, this part was filmed in a courthouse in Cleveland, like this. That's supposed to be like sitting in for Germany, but I think it's a beautiful set, and I love the music here, like the classical music, and how it kind of mixes between diegetic and non-diegetic music. Like it starts out, the orchestra starts playing, so it's like diegetic, meaning it's happening in the scene, the characters can hear it. But then we like cut to like Clint
doing his spy thing. I gotta take out these guys and get to the door.
Yeah, and then Captain America's suiting up, so there it's non-diegetic because obviously they can't hear it. So it's a very good mix, and I love the like how it works with Loki strutting down and kind of whipping his scepter around and then whapping the guy. Very cool. What are your thoughts on Cap's new suit, by the way?
I think for the time, it was very good.
Right.
It relayed more information from the comics.
This is pre-Russo, before they darkened it up.
Yeah, but at the same time, as we know from like shows in the 80s and stuff like that, being comic accurate is not always
the best.
As important as making it realistic.
Right.
Like definitely newer versions I feel like suit him better. For example, like even what they did within the first Avenger, there's more utility to it, which makes it make more sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, when he has like all of his different buckles and belts and like different magazine pouches and stuff like that, as compared to just like a skin tight suit that definitely has like the same organization of like color structure and shape design, but doesn't really have any purpose to it other than just to be a shiny skin tight suit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So compared to those other suits, this is honestly probably one of my least favorites. But for the time and like for the movie itself,
it fit well with like Thor's cape and everything. Yeah.
It's a classic suit.
But anyway, so Barton is killing the guards. I feel like that would be very tough on his conscience when like he gets out. And that's like the first thing he asks too, like how many agents did I kill? I also really like Loki's outfit, like the scarf with that has his colors still, but it's still like a long coat in his suit.
Yeah, I agree.
And then obviously the eyeball thing happens.
Yeah, the eyeball thing was, I agree. I like the outfit design for Loki here. It was like kind of like a modernized version of what he has, and then like obviously the transition into like his armor and all that. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, the transition into the armor, like that's really cool. And then he like blasts the car. That car actually was supposed to flip the whole way, but it flipped and just skidded like on his nose, and they just like that, so they kept it in the film.
I feel like that was definitely cool, you know, like you never really. I feel like that was a realistic way for it to go.
Yeah, Hawkeye gets the iridium, and then that guy stands up.
There are always men like you.
And then Cap saves the day.
Well, Cap starts to save the day, and then Iron Man comes in and he actually saves the day.
And then Iron Man saves the day. Except not dun da da da. It's like whatever AC/DC song is playing.
Yeah.
Shit the
or
thrill.
As Spider-Man would later say, I love Led Zeppelin.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think it's also impressive that Cap stood up to the Asgardian like as much as he did. And it's also personal for his history, like him standing up in Germany. Like he said, like last time I was in Germany, someone's standing up. You could see extras in the background standing up super fast because Joss said that he didn't want Cap to be a hypocrite, being like, last time I was in Germany, someone was standing up above a bunch of people, and he didn't want Cap to be saying that while standing above a bunch of people. So he was like, extras in the back, just stand up really quick.
I understand, but at the same time, it's a hostage situation.
Right.
So, like, I guess it makes sense. Also, I mean, if Cap does land, like, in a mosh pit of people that are in a hostage situation, I feel like that'd be a good time to, like, get up and go. Cap cover you.
Yeah.
It's Cap.
He's got one shield.
Yeah.
I also feel like he's getting slightly better with his quips. Remember last time we were like, Red Skull was like, is that all you got? And he was like, no, or something like that. This time.
Like, not today, or something like that.
Yeah, he said, Neil, and he's like, not today. And then we upgraded to 2 words now instead of nope. But anyways, we get Cap and Stark meeting for the first time. Probably weird for Captain America meeting Howard's son. And then they're on the Quinjet.
I feel like, yeah, thinking about that, like, hey, I knew your dad. You're like a newer version of him, but you're in armor and you're also a butt sometimes.
That'd be weird. Like, what if you, like, got frozen, woke up, and then met my kid? Oh my gosh, that'd be so weird.
I'd ask who the mom is.
It's Scarlett Johansson. No, I'm just kidding.
I'd be like, so what do you do? And he's like, I don't know, anything but film. I'd be like, your dad would be so shit.
Leave a review. Would you listen to a podcast of Daniel this age and my son this age? Let us know. Or just tweet. I don't know. That's probably a weird thing to put in a review.
Yeah, I think if it was a podcast, I think that would be a weird review.
All right. Stark says capsicle again. Daniel, you stole it. That's copyright infringement.
No, it's fine.
The storm starts, and then Thor, the last of the six to be introduced.
I'm not particularly fond of what follows.
Which is thunder, and Thor's the god of thunder.
Oh.
Also, how did Thor know where to go and where Loki was?
I mean, Heimdall.
Oh, that's smart.
Heimdall can still see.
Tell that to Joss Whedon, because he was the one who brought that up and brought that concern up to me. In the director's commentary, we didn't talk.
Because Heimdall doesn't need the Bifrost to see.
You're right.
He just sees. Which also makes sense, like, how Thor reacts, because he's like, I warned you, but he was like, Thor already knew what was going on with Loki.
Ah, yeah.
So he was already on a mission.
Maybe they mourned because they thought while he was in, like, that black hole, everyone thought he was dead. And then Heimdall was like, oh, shoot, he just emerged, like, with Thanos kind of thing.
Yeah.
But also maybe he didn't know because Loki has shrouded himself from Heimdall. Maybe he shrouded himself, but once he started, like, terrorizing Earth, like, he couldn't shroud everyone's, like, perception of him from Heimdall. So then that's how he found out.
I think it would have had to have been sooner than that.
Maybe. Because, like, Thor still seems pretty shaken up. Like, he just found out that, like, his brother's alive kind of thing.
No, I feel like it would have had to have happened sooner than that, though, because it's like, I feel like if if anything, when they started using the Tesseract to do like the very beginning of the movie, I mean, you know?
Yeah, but that's still pretty recent for Thor.
Well, yeah, I guess. I don't know. There's a good couple days difference there.
Yeah, remember Thor is 1,500 years old, so the MCU is one short summer.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's like a day, like a few hours.
The point I'm trying to make is, like, Odin has to come up with a way to get Thor there, you know? So, like, and Loki makes a comment on that where he's like...
The dark magic or what he had to conjure.
Yeah.
And also, apparently, when they're talking on that mountain also, Joss Whedon wanted to film in the mountains, but they were like, that's going to be ridiculous with the wind, so they filmed on a soundstage. It looks like a really good mountaintop.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's two ravens that fly behind them when they're talking here. And apparently, those are, like, supposed to be Odin's ravens that, like, deliver him information in Norse mythology, so I thought that was cool. I didn't see the ravens, but I believe the person on IMDb trivia that said that.
No, I remember that.
Then I believe you, Daniel.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. You know, Odin's eyes are ravens, and he just sends them out everywhere. And he's like, that one raven that's like the new intern that he sends to like a really bad planet where it's like raining glass, and he's like,
oh my gosh,
gotta make sure there's no evil going on here. I just saw a YouTube video about that. There's like all these like crazy planets, and there's this one where it's like a silicon-based atmosphere or something like that, and it hardens into glass and it like rains glass due to the like temperature differences.
It's raining glass. Hallelujah.
Yeah, Google that up on YouTube, listeners. It's actually pretty interesting, all the different planets and stuff.
Cool.
Obviously not in our system. They're just like out in the universe, and they're like detected through spectrometer information based off of like the light coming through the atmosphere or their respective atmospheres. Sorry, start getting too sciencey. Let's get back to the movie, back to the thing.
It's okay.
So yeah,
I like how Cap just jumps out without hesitating.
He puts on the parachute.
Well, yeah, he puts on the parachute, but like Natasha's trying to like talk him out of it. Like, I'd sit this one out, but he's like immediately has decided like he's going to help.
He's like, I'm going.
Yeah. It's also a similar shot when he jumps out of the plane, like similar to the Incredible Hulk, like when he jumps out.
That's true.
Heroic, like.
And then there's your favorite line.
I have a plan. Attack. That's my favorite line. Yeah. One of my favorite lines. I also like Joss in the director's commentary and everything said that he's in the interviews, he sat down with each individual actor and talked about their characters. This is a very character-driven story, and I think that's what makes it work about the Avengers. Is obviously the visual effects are incredible and stunning and everything, but because you relate with these characters and can believe them emotionally, the actual performances. I thought Jon Favreau talked about the performances a lot, but like Joss Whedon in his director's commentary only really talked about like the characters and their arcs and everything, which was fascinating. It's fascinating to listen to these different directors talk about their expertise,
like perspectives and like how they think about it.
Yeah, Joss was very much character driven, even more so than Favreau. I thought Favreau was like way character, which he was, but like Joss was even more. And he talked with Hemsworth. They laughed a lot in their first conversation, he said, and then Hemsworth asked him if they got all serious at the end, was like, can we maybe focus on the brother interaction, not the father stuff, because he already did that. And Joss was all game for that. And that also proves how much Chris Hemsworth knows about his character. And like a lot of the times in film for starting directors, and it's very easy to, when you're writing and everything, starting writers, like to like think you know what's best for your character. But especially when you're directing, you're thinking about 20 million things all the time. And obviously you know your characters well, but when the actor comes in, there has to be a point where you trust your actor, because the actor's job, it is just to bring that character to life in any way possible. So they're thinking about 24/7, like their backstory and everything. And while you have definitely thought about that, your actor at some point, if they're a good actor, probably thinks about it way more in depth. And just kind of allowing the actor to sometimes challenge you and come up to you is something that a lot of people often struggle with. And Joss did not do that, it sounds like, which is great.
Kudos. I mean, it definitely shows with how like the characters were. I mean, even what you were saying earlier with Tony and like how he wanted, or Robert Downey Jr., and how he wanted Pepper to be
Pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's always good to have multiple perspectives on a point like that.
Yeah.
And it's even better when you have a leader who's willing to open up to those perspectives. So,
be flexible, definitely, yeah.
Makes sense.
I really like here how Thor just still wants his brother to come home. Like, even after everything, he loves his brother, and he's like, come home, we can talk about this and fix it with father and stuff. And then there's obviously the the funny line, you listen well, brother, and then he gets hit off screen. I'm listening. Joss Whedon apparently thought that was literally the funniest thing. Like, he was like, I just love knocking Norse people out of frame. And that's why he did the thing with the Hulk punching him later. Like, he lost it at that too. He was like, look, there it is again.
Quality content.
Oh, and then here comes the Shakespeare in the Park line.
Oh, yeah. Doth mother know?
That was improv, that line.
Really?
Yeah. So what happened was Robert Downey Jr. was like, I want something more before this fight kind of happens. So Joss was, I think, thinking there needs to be something as well before this. And so Joss was like, try Shakespeare in the Park. And so he did the Shakespeare in the Park thing. And then Robert Downey Jr. just continued in improv. Doth the mother know you weareth her drapes? And then like that just worked so well. And then they went with it. And then the fight started.
The fight is really epic, and seeing like how they are able to, like, one, they don't know each other yet, obviously.
Right.
So it's like how they're playing off into like how they're trying to get at each other is amazing here. And how it actually turns out how they like learn how to like one up and actually help each other later on.
Yeah, like with the overcharge. I mean, this even continues into Endgame when Thor overcharges Tony.
Yeah, because he designs the adapter for that.
Exactly, and that helps power his suit to shoot Thanos later in Endgame. Like that, I really like that. And then also there's a part where Thor headbutts Tony.
You see the dent in his helmet?
Yes, Joss Whedon, like, well, first off, yeah, we both noticed that. Like, I noticed that the first time. I was like, hey, the dent's in the helmet. That's pretty cool. And then Joss Whedon loved that. He was like, look, there's a dent in his helmet. And he, like, was giggling during the director's commentary. Just, again, proving that he's, like, I think geek first, filmmaker second, and the good man for this job.
I mean, that shot in particular I really like the shot because, like, they're both forward, and then Tony's rolling back, and then there's that pause of him, like, regaining it.
Right.
So it's like there's that nice comical timing that went along with that.
Yeah.
Again, that was a good call.
And then Captain breaks up the fight. You want me to put the hammer down?
No. He loves his hammer.
That's an Instagram caption on one of my posts, so follow me at JakeSar. Also follow the podcast on Instagram. We post a lot of cool updates there. All right, shameless plug over. So yeah, then he puts the hammer down on the shield, and it has that huge shockwave effect, which is another callback to Endgame.
And also like the Liberty Bell thing, because America.
But yeah, then Cap uses that when, spoilers, he picks up Mjolnir, and he hits he throws his shield and throws the hammer then at it to make that shockwave to like bounce Thanos forward. So yeah, very cool. Anyway, so Loki gets captured, walk into the cell.
Yeah, they capture him again in his like ant boot.
The most evil smile at Banner.
Yeah.
My mom giggled at that.
I wish Loki would look at me like that.
I don't know if you do, because that means he like has intentions for you to like Hulk out. That cell room, like that huge, like circular cell, that was when you stand in the exact center of it, apparently like it sounded like a cathedral and you like literally could not hear any sound. So like microphones couldn't pick it up. It was just super echoey. So like most of that is ADR when Loki's in the cell. And that cell was 18 tons. And they obviously had to move it because at one point the set, like it drops out. So they had to get it out of there. And like it was just a huge headache to transport that thing around.
How would you even, like, I'm assuming they had some like trailers and stuff like that, but like it's in the middle of the set. So it was like the whole set like actually raised, I'm assuming, for them to like get in under it and then like lift it up into position.
I honestly have no idea.
I feel like that's the best way to do that. Especially again with the dropping out scene.
Yeah. But anyway, so then we see most of our heroes around the table and they're kind of talking about Loki and what's been happening. I think, is this the line where he's like, he's adopted? That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But also, so a big thing that the director, that Joss commented on here, which I think is very cool. So if you look, when the scene starts, it's very static shots on each each person, which Joss was trying to avoid throughout the whole movie because he was trying to shoot for 3D. He was very actively trying to have moving shots to emphasize cool stuff in there. But in this one, it was just so awkward around that table that they had to do like kind of close-up shots, and it really worked well because everyone was kind of down and kind of awkward with each other because they weren't a team yet.
Yeah.
And then when Tony Stark walks in, he's obviously doing an action. This is when he's talking about flying Coulson out to Portland and talking to him. Then he like walks in and the camera's dynamic. It's moving. He instantly is kind of asserting himself as sort of also one of the leaders of the group. He gets in Hill's face, or her personal space, talks to her about something. He gets into Thor's space, calls him Point Break and hits his arm. And then he walks up and just gets in Fury's space and like pretends to be like literally the Spot like in charge. So like just kind of Tony Stark kind of asserting himself and getting people's heads, I think is really good for that character. Good contrast to everyone else.
Agreed. You know, I mean, again, like you were saying with making him like one of the leaders, which again, you also see it later on in Civil War. Also just with his character as Tony, he's also invasive. So that subtlety of it in that scene there actually adds into that.
Yeah.
And it also goes into him actually invading the data files
Right.
for all of S.H.I.E.L.D. when he actually starts stealing everything.
He puts that there. Also, the whole Point Break thing, that's what he then makes Thor's code name for in Ragnarok later, which is pretty funny. Good callback.
Damn you, Stark! Point Break!
It's also here that I think someone says that Loki smells like crazy, like smells of crazy. And that was actually supposed to set up in the third act. They ran out of like money for this actually, but when Hulk like confronts Loki and like whips him around and stuff, there was going to be a part where Loki transformed in like 4 holograms, and then Hulk would sniff for him and then grab the real Loki and then like fling him around because he could smell the crazy on him. They didn't have enough money and they cut that.
I feel like the whipping still did its job.
Oh, it was such a good part.
But that would have been funny.
Yeah. But then we also get another Tony Stark villain born with Galaga Man when Tony Stark's like, that man is playing Galaga. That part was also ad-libbed by Tony. And then they added the shot. They decided to add the shot later at the end of the scene of the Galaga Man putting back his
screen and playing.
Yeah. Which I think is funny. Also in this scene, I really like how Tony, again, shows that he does his homework like we were talking about. He does all the readings and stuff, becomes an expert last night on thermonuclear astrophysics, he said. Obviously, Tony Stark has a huge ego, but he does the work that needs to be done for the job. Obviously, with a little help and a push from Pepper.
Me a little fondue. It's just cheese and bread, my friend.
Banner and Stark go to the lab. The science bros at it for the first time.
Yep, he's talking about Stark Tower and all the R&D and stuff like that. And then he also teases Banner by literally pricking him with like a little electrode.
Well, that was the suggestion again from RDJ, knowing Tony Stark's character. RDJ said that there's no way that Tony Stark would be in a room with Bruce Banner and not like poke him or shock him or anything. It also allows him to set up the whole thing with Tony telling Banner about his accident and setting up that like they should use their gift like for good kind of thing and to help people, even if you don't think you can. Which is also just Hulk's arc in the entire MCU, and he really kind of comes to the end in his peak and conclusion, I guess, in Endgame when he becomes Professor Hulk. Like he can really fully control it then and doesn't risk losing control like he does in Ultron.
Yeah.
Also in this part, Cap comes in. So the part where RDJ has like, he grabs like some blueberries or whatever, like snacks. RDJ literally just hid snacks around set.
Had snacks all around the set.
Yeah, so that wasn't planned. And so like when he offers one to Bruce Banner, he just like Mark Ruffalo just takes one. It's like, okay. Like was not expecting that at all. I think that's hilarious.
Okay, yeah. Sure, Tony. I will have one of your secret snacks.
Secret tunnel.
To the helicarrier.
Secret blueberry. So this is also sets up again. Cap walks in and the science bros are very skeptical why S.H.I.E.L.D. is calling them in now. Like something, they're hiding something, which is obviously phase 2. And then Cap's like, we have orders, we should follow them. And I think Stark gets in his head. And I think this is a huge point for Cap when he decides to go investigate
on his own
Fury and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, like with his whole arc in the entire MCU, like we were talking about, like this is where he starts to realize the Authority isn't always a great thing.
Right.
And that continues way into Cap 2 when S.H.I.E.L.D. has Hydra growing within it. And he's like, S.H.I.E.L.D., Hydra, the whole thing's going down. Like he's not saying like S.H.I.E.L.D. is good, Hydra's bad, because they both have like red in their ledger. Like,
yeah.
Great minds think alike. We're the science bros now.
But yeah, no, I get the point you're saying. Cap's more about the moralistic thing to do, what is right, rather than what's law.
And I think in Cap 1, he thought blind obedience to his leaders was the way to do that. Part of his arc is getting away from blind obedience. Blind obedience also is something that is in the Darth Bane book that I recommended on our Audible thing. That's a big theme in that. So if you want to check that out. Sorry, I keep plugging a lot in this. I feel bad, but like I'm just so good at segues, Daniel, professional podcaster over here.
Oh yeah, dude. It's just like we're a ship and there's so many holes in it. So you just got to keep on plug. Just plug it all up. Get all the leaks out.
What an analogy.
Talking about leaks, we're now going into the scene where Natasha is trying to leak information out from Loki.
Oh.
That was a little bit of a push there, but I made it happen.
Wait, you skipped something.
Did I?
I mean, it's not a huge thing, but I just wanted to comment on it. So Phil assures Thor that Jane will be all right. And I'm glad that Thor is shown to be worried. But also, this is really important in my opinion because it has been establishing Coulson like talking to each of the Avengers. And he's been such a through point in each of the like Avengers movies, like all the Marvel movies, like Iron Man 2. He's been in Thor. And at the beginning of this, he establishes a relationship with Cap, like being the fanboy and everything. They hit it off. And so like when he dies, obviously later, quote unquote dies, it's very believable that that is the push they needed to kind of get off their butts and work together. I think that was handled well.
It was. I really do. Because, he's been, the one SHIELD agent that's been leading and heading all of the other films for when it comes to, SHIELD's interaction with the Avengers.
Yes, and it wasn't even, really planned for that. Clark Gregg said that he was just so happy because he thought he only had, a few lines in Iron Man. And then he kept getting asked back. He was like, oh, I'm in Iron Man 2. And then, they were like, yeah, say you're going to New Mexico. And he was like, oh, why am I going to New Mexico? And they were like, oh, because you're in Thor. And he was like, what? Oh, cool. That's great. And then, he was literally at Comic-Con, I think promoting Thor. And then Joss Whedon came up to him and was like, hey, you're going to have a really big part in the Avengers. And he was like, oh, cool. Okay.
And then he dies.
Yeah.
But, it's a good way. It's a good way to, go, but also not go. Because then he also got his own show, so it all works out.
Yeah. I also like, around this time, this same conversation, Coulson is talking to Thor, and Thor's talking about how they're, the Asgardians are kind of like Bill Schneip or whatever he said.
Yeah, Bill Schneip.
And he's upset that his people are known for being these warmongers. And that also, again, shows Thor's growth from Thor 1, and he hasn't reset. He's very conscious now of, his actions of war, and he can't just start blasting. His actions have consequences.
Anyway, I just started blasting.
I also feel like Fury's scar, stretches out beyond his eye patch, and it looks very much worse than, in Captain Marvel,
I agree. It definitely does.
Maybe he, beefing it up so people wouldn't know it was a cat scratch, so it could be, it can look more menacing.
He's like, I lost my eye, and then I had it cut again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm edgy.
Speaking of Captain Marvel, I feel like later might be a little continuity confusion because he says that they thought they were alone until Thor showed up last year or whatever. And that wouldn't be the case because in the 90s he met Captain Marvel. But my thought is the Avengers, Thor, the whole Thor thing was in an age that people can just record things and it was out, it was leaked. I feel like maybe Fury was protecting Captain Marvel's identity up until that point, and maybe he was just continuing to do that. Maybe that's a possible explanation for why he didn't bring her up.
Well, I'm trying to remember. No, he met the Skrulls.
Yeah,
so.
Maybe they were trying to keep it under wraps though, and they didn't have clearance for that, so he was keeping that secret.
Well, that too, and also another thing is he also didn't have the Tesseract then. So it's they didn't have the ability to make the weapons that they needed to for their phase 2. So now that they finally had access to that power, thinking back to what happened with the Skrulls and now with what's going on with Loki literally just going around murdering people, it kind of gets you to step it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can agree with you on that. It's trying to keep things under wraps, but now there's a more pressing thing that's literally immediate worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But now Nat talks to Loki.
Yeah.
And this was Joss Whedon's favorite scene, he said. It's a great scene.
Yeah, it really is. I remember when I was watching it, this was different for me seeing it this time than obviously the first couple times. I mean, I've watched Avengers a lot of times. My point is, watching it the last couple times compared to the first times I've seen it, I'm like, what is this stretch that she's pulling? She's like, no, you brought the beast. Oh, so he plays Banner. I'm like, what? How do you, what? But now seeing she's purposely going in there and this is what she does and stuff like that. It made more sense for me in this case.
You could tell, that even though she's manipulating Loki, it still affects her, and like she thinks about it. I think later when she's alone with Barton, like you can see that has gotten to her. So she's not this like unstoppable like robot like with no emotions. We also like learned some more about Scarlett Johansson and Black Widow's backstory, which is really cool because I don't think we've heard about that before. We like the red on her ledger, and she wants it wiped off, and she does a really good job of pretending to break down. And then Loki reveals that he wants to release the Hulk, and this actually Joss said that it's really cool that like Loki is bested by, and he said like he was bested by like a woman, because it probably in Asgardian culture he thought it's usually the men that are the warriors and stuff, and the women don't have those jobs all the time, Lady Sif being the exception. So for Loki to be bested by Natasha Romanoff, like just a mere mortal woman, is probably humiliating to him, and he said he really liked that and wanted to have that strong female character get the information out of her for that reason.
I can see that making sense, you know? Again, like what you're saying with like Civ being an exception to the rule.
Yeah, Lady Civ and the Norwegians 1, 2, and 3.
I was going to try to remember their names. I'm like,
I know. I was like, no, don't.
But no, like even he brings it up when they begin the interrogation, where he's like, I thought you would have come in later as a friend after like interrogation and all that other stuff. You know what I mean?
I also really like, there's one beautiful shot, and I wrote this down the first time I watched it just without the director's commentary, and then Joss commented on it too, and I was like, yes. But like the shots between when they're on either side of the glass, so they couldn't get Scarlett's close up because she was so close to the glass, like without being in the cage, so the camera had to be in the like cage, and you had to see Scarlett through the glass. But the way that worked then with Loki like coming up to her and like his reflection like stretching, so literally it was like a close-up, or it was like a medium shot of Scarlett on the right, but you also got to see Loki's like menacing reflection walk forward. That cinematography was incredible, and like I was like geeking out over that, and then Joss was like, that's probably my favorite shot of the whole film, and I was like, yes. It was I am seriously like just thinking about that it was an amazing shot. Go watch that shot right now, everyone, if you have Disney Plus. About halfway through the movie.
Go right now. No.
Tom also really gets into it.
Imagine the lighting situation you have to have set up in there,
so you don't get like glares and stuff.
Yeah. Did they have lights internally within the cage, or is this all external?
There's actually one spot Josh said that like Tom like walks back to the middle and then like looks up because he has to have the light catch him, and he was making sure he was under the light, but like he was still in character, so they kept it in the in the film. Tom really gets into it here, and like it's really cool. Like he spits on the glass at one spot. It's a great way to showcase Black Widow's strengths, and then everything's like coming to a culmination here. Like the music's kind of swelling. Stark gets the virus going, and S.H.I.E.L.D. starts to detect the virus. Cap finds the Hydra weapons on the helicarrier, and then Natasha, like we said, finds out he's going after the Hulk. So everyone comes into the room, the lab. And this was like one of the very toughest things to shoot. It was 1 week of shooting to get this whole discussion with the blocking and the staging, just getting everything right with the cameras. It looked like a tough scene. And when I was watching it, and Josh said like it was very tough. Like the editing is really great so that you know what's going on where everyone is. Like with that many people in a room, it's very easy to get disoriented and confused.
Yeah, I feel like they did a very good job with like not only the placement of the characters and like how they're interacting with each other, but also like how that moved around just slightly. Like for example, like Banner, where he like backed up and like picked up the scepter, and like how you then had like the whole array of them turn and caution due to that.
Right. Yeah. Well, before he picks up the scepter,
there's a lot of information there.
It's really cool. Like before he picks up the scepter, like there's a few shots still, and then it starts getting into dynamic shots. The camera starts moving, and you start getting uneasy, and you can tell.
Yeah, like the whole camera pan like all the way around.
Yeah, well, you can tell the scepter's manipulating them. Like Tony Stark like grabs his head for a second, like he has a headache. So does the Hulk, and then like Thor, he says that line like, "You humans are so petty and tiny." He looks like kind of drunk almost, like as he's saying that, and like it's just supposed to signify that like the scepter, the Mind Stone, is literally like affecting them. And as that happens, like they're panning around and they go to the scepter, and like literally the shot flips, and like the Avengers are literally like flipped on their heads. Like literally the shot is on their heads, and the actors during that day were like, "What the heck are you doing, Joss? Like this is so weird." And then they saw it, they were like, "That was incredible. That good decision."
Like you have us yelling at each other and we're upside down. Like what the heck?
There's a really funny in the gag reel. I highly recommend watching this gag reel. It's hilarious. But there's a gag reel and it's them just like bickering in the room, and then Joss Whedon just runs in, and goes, "Stop fighting!" What? I just really like that whole thing. The dialogue is escalating, and then as the hum of the scepter does, and Loki's plan is unfolding.
Yeah. At the same time, we also see Barton with his squadron of, I guess, shield haters, because he's also like the only one manipulated. So it's him and his anti-shield people, and they're coming in to go take out the helicarrier because they know that they're a threat.
It's the Nega Shield.
Oh my god. So here's one thing I don't get though, right? Like if you're able to shoot one arrow and like it blows up like a whole side, why don't you just shoot like,
more arrows?
Yeah, you know.
Well, maybe because like he had to go in and like he had to get Loki and the scepter out, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I feel like that's the best answer to that, honestly. Honestly, my voice cracked.
But yeah, I also like back in the dialogue thing. So right before they get like everything blows up, Banner says we're not a team, we're a chemical mixture that breeds chaos. And that kind of alludes to in Civil War with Vision saying that chaos breeds catastrophe, and then their like existence invites that challenge. I think that's a cool tie back. But yeah, Cap and Stark are really getting heated up, their argument. And like the camera angles between them and their little mini discussion is really cool, because Joss Whedon really intentionally did not want to have a lot of long lenses, he said, except here he went for a high angle because they each feel like they're on top of their own world, he said, and long, so that it just feels different than the rest of the film. And it adds like a really uneasy, like it looks weird, like it looks different, and it does a good job because like the Mind Stone's affecting them. And yeah, just really good camera work and filmmaking. Wahoo.
Which also makes me think, like, does that reaction still happen when people are like near Vision? Like, obviously it's getting a little bit off topic, but do you think that is a thing that happens?
Maybe, probably not, because I feel like Loki's probably subtly manipulating the Mind Stone. Like, I don't feel like the Mind Stone just creates headaches and like manipulates you for the worse. I think it's Loki's still in slight control over that.
True.
Anyway, so the thing beeps. So people always wonder, like, how did Banner know to go to Stark Tower? That's because right before the helicarrier like blew up, he looked at the computer screen.
He saw it. He's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see it's over New York.
Right. I wonder if Thor saw that too, because I don't know how Thor knew where to go. Maybe Heimdall again just spoke to him.
Maybe he saw the giant portal in the sky and he was like, oh.
You must... No, it was Ben Kenobi. You must go to the Dagobah system. Ben!
Let's go to the New York
Odin,
system.
Heimdall. So Barton blows up the one propeller control thing. And so everyone starts freaking out. And Banner and Natasha fall down and the Hulk starts transforming. And those effects are really good. I mean, compared to we just watched the Hulk, like Incredible Hulk, which was 2008. This is only 4 years later, and I feel like those effects are...
There's a big jump.
Yeah.
One thing I really liked about this was like the difference within the muscle systems.
Yes.
And definitely the updated in rendering, you know? Like they definitely honed in on what kind of muscle groups that they wanted to prioritize within the Hulk itself.
Yeah.
As well as like they did the face transfer, so you have like the
yeah, well they did mocap.
Yeah,
like they did mocap before, during, and after production for each scene, and it was very intensive, and a lot of time Mark Ruffalo just alone in he called it his man canceling leotard, because it made everything you want small big and everything you want big small, pretty much. And actually Ultron was the first film that they actually like could put cameras on top of the like rigs, like on sticks in front of actors' faces, so that they could record the mocap at the same time on set. So like they couldn't do that for this film. For this film, Mark Ruffalo could get most of the motion done, but for his facial performance, he had to act everything again on like a sound stage where it was getting his face. But he was so game for it. Everyone said that he did such a great job, and like all that time really paid off to make it look really good, and it looks like Mark. And Mark was very happy that he's like the only actor that he said played Hulk and Banner. Like it's his performance for both, and the animators.
Norton didn't do that.
Well, Norton, he just did like facial expressions. He didn't really do
like full facial mocap and all that.
Yeah. It was animators a lot, but I mean the animators did a lot here too. And Mark even praised them. He said like he wrote a letter to the animators saying like, I've taken it as far as I can. It's up to you. I trust you guys, and it was very inspiring. Kevin Feige said that, and Joss Whedon said that like it inspired the animators to do a great job, and they were very happy to work with him, which I think just speaks to Mark's character just as a person as well.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Well, so back to the tank. When the Hulk was expanding and like his shirt was ripping, that was practical. They had like balloons in his sleeves, and then they blew them up when he was like hulking out.
That's crazy. I didn't think about that. That's a good technique though.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like you see like tubes going into his shirt in the behind the scenes, and then it's pretty cool. Yeah, and it looks good. So they just replaced the balloons with like Hulk muscle.
Just get some plastered on real quick.
Mark's kids were actually like scared. They were like, "Daddy, don't hurt the Black Widow lady." When he turned into the Hulk, when they first saw it.
Well, there was some great shots here when they were doing like the whole chase and stuff like that. Like when he's charging through the glass and like there's Black Widow. Like,
oh yeah, the slow-mo.
Lipping through that. Oh my goodness.
Well, even before he like transformed into the Hulk, I love when he turns and like right before he like completely transforms, you can definitely see Ruffalo's eyes.
Oh, see his eyes?
Yeah, and like he's like pleading, like it's kind of like a plea of like, help me, and like I'm sorry for what's about to happen, like he's about to lose control. And then like he hulks out, and the Hulk roars were a combination of Mark Ruffalo's voice, it was Lou Ferrigno again, original like from the TV show, and the sound editor still couldn't get it right, so he added his own voice, and then he just added 2 guys from New Zealand. So it's like 5 people.
Jeez.
This is the Hulk's roar. Yeah, it sounds good.
I can hear like Mark's I'm just thinking back to the sound.
It's sort of like a
yeah.
That's
crazy. It's just crazy to think about like all the kind of like sound work that goes into making a unique sound like a Hulk roar.
Like Chewbacca's pretty cool too. Like it's a bunch of animals layered together.
You tell me it's not just a
All right, we gotta get back to the tank. So Cap and Stark, they go out to the propeller. Seems to run on some sort of electricity. And I like the navigation systems are down, and Fury's like, is the sun coming up? Then put it on the left.
Yeah, it was good.
Also, back to the Hulk again. So there are 2 different Hulks in this movie, and that was very intentional. So there's the Hulk when Banner loses control, and it's pure just rage Hulk. And then there's the Hulk when Banner accepts like the Hulk can be used for good. That's the Hulk at the end of the film that fights on the team. And I think both are very cool to see. It's really cool to see Hulk and Thor just like fight. It's funny to see the behind the scenes. It's just Mark Ruffalo with like giant 2.5 foot diameter like Hulk hands on sticks. I mean, it's a really awesome fight. And when he throws like the wing at him and everything, and he can't pick up Mjolnir. Great stuff.
I really like that part where his feet are literally like imprinting the ground, showing like how much extra force he's using. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, technically, does that mean that the helicarrier is worthy? You know, drop Mjolnir in a helicarrier, and the helicarrier's in the air.
Well, maybe that's why it's falling.
True. Yeah. Come on, Thor. Help the team out.
So Cap and Stark are still working on the rotor. Biggest gripe for this movie, a lot of people point out that Cap and the people that you can see their ears, they have no earpieces. So how are they like communicating with each other? And that was actually addressed in the later ones. They just put earpieces in because people were like so
mad about that,
like upset about that. Yeah.
You don't have earpieces.
Maybe it's Heimdall just helping them all speak to each other.
No, it's actually the Tesseract helping out the Avengers because it doesn't want to like be in the hands of Loki. So what it does is sets up a tiny little wormhole in front of each of their mouths and their ears.
Yeah.
You can't see it because it's so small, but you can hear it.
Right.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
That's my new theory on that. So Cap and Tony are trying to fix the propeller. There's the red lever that they gotta do, and then there's Tony trying to do the maglev rotation.
I like the shot with Tony like cutting the laser, and the laser like goes over the camera, and like kind of the residual like light that stays. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was cool. Also, again, that shows like the advancement of like Tony's armor and like how he's upgraded the laser.
Because in Iron Man 2, like he can only use those lasers like once, and then he was like, "Oh, my suit's out of power."
But now he's able to use multiple charges.
Yeah,
several times, and it's.
But then the Hulk is yeeted off with the guy in the plane. That guy in the plane, like, come on.
Target angry. Target angry.
Well, the guy, I think Maria Hill's like, don't get too close, and he's like, copy that. And then he like flies super close.
Gets right next to him.
Yeah. But then the Hulk is away for the rest of this little thing. Cap and Stark get the propeller finally working again, and Stark gets very beat up. And Barton hacks the ship with an arrow.
By beat up, do you mean will it blend?
Oh my gosh. It won't. This time it won't. This is the only time.
It doesn't blend.
That answer has been... That's like a recurring segment for you. Will it blend? Why is that?
Dude.
Why is that a recurring segment? Why has that come up so many times in the show?
Because it was such a great show or thing.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not sure you can classify that as a show. It's more like a little YouTube series from what I remember. But it was great, you know?
Yeah, right.
And it applies to so many things, like Tony Stark and a propeller for some reason.
Like that Nazi and Cap.
Yeah, like Indiana Jones.
Oh my gosh.
Why are we only blending people? I don't know.
Okay. Natasha is very shaken up still from the Hulk, but she goes after Barton and
pretty much just beats him on the head.
Yeah, just hits him very hard. Very cool. I like the choreography in that fight. It's not the most like
it was a really good fight.
Powerful blows, but like it's the most human.
No, it shows like how adaptive they were in the fights. Like when was like had to toss the knife to his other hand, and they went back and forth with like, knife's on your neck. No, it's on your neck. Ha ha ha.
We're so evenly matched.
But no, like the dips and the ducks, like when Natasha goes like underneath the walking platform and all that. That's cool.
Yeah, and then Loki fakes out Thor again with the hologram, and he's inside the.
You're gonna fall for that every time.
And then, Coulson, move away, please. And this is actually like a big pause in the action. Like everything's been happening so fast, and then Joss was like, "We need to give Coulson like his
moment."
Yeah, and so like he gets stabbed, which is very sad, and quote unquote dies. He doesn't die. Spoilers for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's alive.
He goes to Tahiti.
Yeah.
What he actually happens is he has like some like, and I don't get why they go to like brain surgery, but they go and have brain surgery, and like they like wipe some of his memories and like a bunch of other stuff.
Gotcha. But anyway, so
yeah,
Thor is sent down, and then he crash lands. It's supposed to be by a beach, but they weren't actually by a beach, so they were actually just outside that Ohio NASA facility in a field. So Joss it was like, add seagull noises. So there's just seagull noises to make it sound like they're by a beach. Then Coulson shoots Loki, which I absolutely love that. He actually wasn't supposed to go through that wall when they filmed it. He just landed, it hit the wall and went on the ground, but they wanted more oomph, so they added that in post. So that whole like crater in the wall is all digital.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good VFX team. They just deserve a promotion.
Yes, I agree. Loki escapes with the scepter.
With the scepter, with Clinton.
No, he doesn't.
Clint.
No, he doesn't. Clint is back here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry.
What are you talking about?
Selvig. I don't know why I was thinking Clint.
I was actually thinking like what
Clinton for some reason. And then
I was actually thinking like what did he just not wait for Clint, cuz that kind of stinks. Maybe he can tell like once he picks up the scepter like, oh, this guy's not under my control anymore, or I don't know.
I mean, he is Loki. He probably also just doesn't care. Yeah, he goes back and he leaves and he like, gets up with Selvig. That's what I was trying to think of. I don't know why I was thinking of Clinton. What the hell?
and then here Fury's like, Coulson's down, and there's a blooper behind the scene, like a gag reel of Maria Hill, like Kobe Smulders, just overreacting so much to that. She's like, no, Coulson, my boss, I loved you so much. No, but obviously that was not used.
They should have. They should have.
Just imagine that. Oh my gosh. But anyway, so Fury says the cap cards were in Coulson's pocket and covered them in blood.
But that's also weren't, which is kind of weird. Like, where did you just like smudge those on Coulson? You know?
Yeah, you just gotta think. Yeah, you gotta think like,
where did he get the blood?
Coulson, like your second in command, like just dies, and the first thing you do is go to his locker, take his prized possession, dip it in blood, and give it to the Avengers. But like Hill actually thought about this. Like Joss was thinking about this when he was writing it. Like Hill, and there's been some deleted scenes about this, is very skeptical of Fury and his motives, and even talks to the World Council about it a little bit. But then when she hears like they needed the push, and then sees the Quinjet flies off, Hill, like you can see her there's a shift in her. It's very subtle and great acting, but from that point on she knows like Fury knows what he's doing.
She just starts to understands
what he's doing. So like I really love that character shift, and just like again with Joss understanding his characters, and like even the very supportive, like not minor characters, but compared to the other Avengers, like minor characters have their own arcs. Like that's very, very just well done.
Yes.
Also, Robert Downey Jr. reacting to like Coulson's death was his second day on set, and like he's such just like a happy guy. So then just imagine coming in, all right, act sad, Coulson just died. Oh no, Phil.
Phil. That one scene from The Office.
No.
Oh God, please no. So I mean, kind of went over already how they get in the Quinjet and now they're headed out because they know where they deduce. There's that scene with Tony and Cap, and they're like, he's a major diva, you know, he want to have his name plastered all over the son of a, and he realizes it's Stark Tower. That's where they're doing.
Yeah.
So they're like, ye to the hall.
Also, Ruffalo wakes up. That scene was actually extended. The actor Harry Dean, he died actually in 2017. The other actor that he wakes up to, the security guard.
Yeah.
He was in Twin Peaks. The scene was actually cut in half. It was a bit longer, twice as long. In fact, that's what cut in half means. And it was Ruffalo being like, I don't know if I'm supposed to go to New York or not, kind of still deciding. And then this guy being like, the security guard being like, you've already made up your mind.
Well, son, you got a condition.
Yeah. And it's Ruffalo coming to terms with like, he can do the most harm here, but he could also do the most good here. The security guard's like, well, well, isn't that the case for everyone? So it's a nice little thing. It definitely didn't need to be in the film, but it's nice behind the scenes if you ever, deleted scene if you ever want to see that. And yeah, so then Jeremy's first scene, Jeremy Renner, his first scene is the whole color saturation thing where like he's on that acid trip getting out of mind control.
Guys, Loki did something to me.
But also, I mean, like, as goofy as that is, I feel like Joss comments on it as well, but like what Jeremy Renner is not doing, he's a very minimalistic actor, and what he is not doing is what he is doing. And the performance he brings to Hawkeye is very different than the other superheroes. And because he's like a very grounded superhero, I think it works very well.
It does work well. It's just fun to also make fun of like acid trippiness. You know,
yeah,
it's hard not to. You know, but at the same time, yeah, I agree. I think for like the performance wise, he did a good job here, like portraying like, hey, he's had some damage done, but he's like recovering. You know,
right. I also really like here how Cap, when he walks to talk to Natasha and he's like, he fly this jet, and then Clint's like, I can fly it. And so he doesn't obviously trust Clint right now because he was just the enemy, but now he's grown to trust Natasha, and just literally just the looks they give each other, like he looks and then she nods and he like accepts it immediately. Like that acting, nothing needed to be said, and that just says so much.
I agree.
Yeah. Then they head out. They go to Stark Tower. Yep. Stark and Loki talk, and Stark de-suits because he has a horrible suit on, and he gets the Mark 7 ready with that bracelet.
He's like, I need to freshen up, you know, my suit's all dusty now. I was blended, so I gotta get myself all fresh, you know.
Exactly. Will it blend? No, but yes.
So yeah, they have a talk. He threatens him, remember, threatening.
Yeah. That scene actually was originally going to be Loki manipulating Stark, but like it just didn't feel right, so it turned into Stark just bragging, and it was written a lot actually.
I feel like it makes more sense the way it was done rather than like manipulation,
right?
Especially considering the comical bit where he tries to do the thing. 1 out of 5.
That's really funny. Ding. And I like the line before that where it's like, I have an army, we have a Hulk, and that's a great send off then in Endgame for Loki. That's a great like full circle moment for him. And I like how Stark generally does look scared when he's about to get mind controlled, and then it's funny how it doesn't work. And then every time Stark gets thrown through that window, my dad's like, he would have died, and probably.
Yeah,
but
I feel like they exaggerated the fall time by like a lot.
No, I mean just getting smashed into that window at that speed, I think that would
hurt a lot.
Like head first, he would have died.
Yeah.
And also, I really feel bad for Stark because like for some reason Jarvis flies the suit through the second window that was not broken. Like another pane of glass breaks as the suit bursts out through the window.
Let me just break another window.
Like jeez. maybe that's Jarvis getting back at Tony. Like he's like, skip the spinning rims. Maybe Jarvis really wanted spinning rims, so like that's his way of getting back for skipping.
I saw your plans for making Friday. Not about that.
This will show him. He just breaks every window.
I mean, it is a cool suit though, the way it's able to deploy and catch him, and how it does like the lineup with his wrist.
Did you see like in the corridor? I'm sure you've seen the VFX artists react. Like when he like abruptly turns around, like at the bottom, like that would have like crushed the insides of Tony Stark.
His whole organs would have been mush.
Like pressed up against the front of the suit. And, yeah, but you know it's fine.
That would have been so many G's.
So many, all the G's.
All the G's.
Yeah, but then one last retribution. His name, you pissed off one more person. His name was Phil. That was added late in the game again as well, which obviously you can do because it's Tony Stark in his helmet.
Yeah.
Then the portal opens, blue beam in the sky, and the army shows up. We're at the third act finally, Daniel.
You know, when they went through the other side, they should have had the other side be orange. Then you could have brought like Aperture and like actual everybody else in. But yeah, so third act, you get Selvig turning on the portal. Tony flies up,
and he switches his HUD to like the army HUD, or like the army HUD,
goes
like,
right,
which is cool. And but actually, Joss Whedon couldn't remember what HUD stood for, like during the director's commentary. So he was like, I think it's like something like head underwear department or something. And I was like, what? It's heads up display.
Yes, my head underwear department.
But I wanted.
Yes.
I think that's even better. Yeah.
Every time I'm in Unreal now working on a character and I have to work on their HUD, I'll just make sure
it's a pair of underwear.
There's a little piece of underwear somewhere.
Yeah, like a little Easter egg. But yeah, so then the Avengers start showing up finally. The Quinjet shows up. That big flying slug comes through the portal. It's not actually called anything else like in the movie, but they referred to it as Jumbo on set. But then Joss Whedon was like, I feel like Jumbo's not that threatening, so they called it like
Death Jumbo.
They called it Leviathan, I think was what the name they settled on.
Yeah, they are called Leviathans. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I still like how Thor's still trying to reach his brother and tell him, like, this is crazy, Loki. And then Loki stabs Thor, which is not the first time.
Wait, we missed the part that I want to talk to you about, because there's also a little bit after he got out of the tank where he's like, I'm not sure if he was like unworthy, but like he didn't pick up the hammer like right away. You know what I mean?
Oh, right, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think I saw something about this. I forget exactly what it was when Thor can't pick up the hammer, but I think it's just Thor thinking about like his place in the world almost, and like he just doesn't like make it come to him. He like pauses and hesitates, which I think is also good, like showing character again growth from Thor 1. Like he doesn't just take it and fly off. Like he's thinking about his actions and what his actions just cause his brother to do and what they're going to do, what that's going to unleash on Earth. And I think it's just him reflecting. I don't really know. What are your thoughts?
I never really thought of it like that. I always just saw it like as some kind of like internal conflict between him and Mjolnir, like him not being like worthy again or something like that. But I really do think it would make more sense if it was portrayed better as like a thinking moment. Especially with what Fury said before with what are you willing to do, you know? I feel like if he combined that scene with this, or had some kind of like feedback with that. I don't know how you would do it, but I don't know. Some kind of callback to that, like him thinking about that, like, okay, Loki's in New York. I have to go there. I gotta stop him. What am I willing to do to prevent him from doing what he's going to do?
Right.
I feel like that would have been a good moment for him to come in with.
Okay.
I don't know. But at the same time, I really like the way, I mean, it's also Thor comes in and is still following in, like what you said, with him trying to get through to his brother, trying to convince him that he's able to get back.
And then he gets stabbed.
But then Loki's just like, no.
Which also, like I said, it was not the first time when he was a kid. Like we learned in the Ragnarok, he like turns into a snake and then stabs him.
Which makes you think, like he just kind of took the knife and like just threw it away. I'm like, how often does this boy get stabbed? You know?
Yeah, seriously.
Is stabbing like a slap on the back, or is it for his guardians, or is it just like is Thor so like used to it because of Loki? You know, there's so many questions there.
So Hawkeye's here and he's shooting arrows, and his modern bow that like you can change the arrowheads. I think that's kind of cool. Yeah. There's actually that one arrow that shoots, and then like it shoots like 3 other Chitauri around the one guy. Yeah. It's actually, this was a point where Joss Whedon took to kind of humanize the Chitauri almost. Like if you really watch it slow, and I actually did watch this back, when that happens, the one Chitauri tries to push his other Chitauri friend out of the way, but he doesn't do it in time. It's kind of sad.
Oh no.
Oh no, the evil, horrible monster.
The evil guys tried to defend themselves. Oh no.
We'll just show whatever. All right, so just like Budapest.
And they all die Phantom Menace style anyway.
Yeah, I know. But like you can have the next like 20 minutes of them just cleaning up again. But I like, before the Phantom Menace, I like how Cap, there's one shot where like it's like really shaky cam, and it's like they literally got a parkour guy in, and they told the stunt coordinators like just make a fun obstacle course, and then they filmed that with just like a handheld camera, and it's really beautiful, and it like emphasizes the chaos. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, Banner shows up. That's my secret Cap.
And then there's him doing his thing is like, I'm always angry.
I am the Senate.
Oh my god.
Have you seen those memes? There's so many good ones.
No.
It's like really dumb because they're like 2014 memes.
Oh wait, yes, I have.
Yeah.
I have seen them. My brain literally just pulled them out of the dark recesses of my meme log.
I think I sent you some a long time ago.
Oh my goodness. That was like from forever ago, Jake.
Yeah. Long before the podcast.
Or should I say it? It was forever ago, Cardona. Remember?
Oh my gosh.
Going back to the original Banner.
Should have gotten paid up front. But yeah, so there's a deleted scene in the gag reel where Cap's like, now would be a good time to get angry. And then Ruffalo like turns around and he says, screw this, you guys are on your own. And then like literally runs the other way.
So yeah, pretty much he hits the Leviathan and then Tony blows it up. And
then it's the shot. The shot.
Yeah, it's the shot. It's the freaking shot.
I got goosebumps and literally smiled uncontrollably. The music played. Oh, I remember seeing that in the theater and people cheering so loud. I literally almost cried rewatching this. And I rewinded and watched the shot twice when rewatching this. And
it's amazing. It's like, it's literally iconic.
They said the behind the scenes was hilarious because literally everyone was like in their piece of like their armor and everything. Like even Tony Stark, like RDJ had like a practical suit of armor on, except for Mark Ruffalo, who was literally like on a box in like his man-canceling leotard pajama thing. And everyone else looked so epic, and he's just there in this gray like
bum, 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 bum. And then as soon as you see him, it's like the flute, whatever.
Yeah, then like
the kazoo version of it.
But then more space slugs show up, Leviathans. I like a lot how Stark lets Cap call the play. It's really probably tough for him because, like we know, he doesn't work well with others.
He's so used to he's just so used to on his own.
Yeah, we get a Hulk smash from Cap, and the third act continues. More epic shots. Jeremy Renner does a no-look shot. Giga lightning bolt from Thor.
Giga lightning.
Hawkeye, they're working together as a team. Hawkeye's like, they can't bank.
Yeah, they're doing call-outs.
Yeah. I knew someone working on this. I've worked with someone. I was working on a commercial in Pittsburgh, and my second AD, second assistant director, who I reported to because I was a production assistant, they had worked on Avengers as a production assistant, like in the New York stuff, and they said it was crazy and just awesome. And I'm so jealous. Yeah, but she was really nice, really cool.
That'd be pretty cool seeing like all the different props and like how the sets were made up, and
yeah,
it'd be really sweet.
The reason I found out was because she posted about it when Endgame came out. She was like, just anniversary, so happy I could be a part of that. And like she posted a picture of her on set and then her name in the credits. I was like, what?
Wait a minute. Who are you?
But yeah, so then the oneer shot, oh, that was really cool.
Yes.
But right before that, Natasha like boosts up and like grabs the glider, and I feel like my dad always says that her arm would be ripped out of her socket. So Mr. Wagner, we have another physics question. When we bounce up, shields up, and grabs that glider, would her arm be ripped out of her socket?
I feel like it definitely would, because that'd be technically classified as a jerk, because she has the acceleration of her moving vertically, and then you have the jerk.
Not snap, crackle, or pop?
No, you don't have that yet.
Right.
The only way that would happen is if you get like a snap, crackle, or pop, is you'd have to have, once she like grabs onto it, right, and then there's the jerk of that happening, then the whole ship would have to then do like a hard break or something like that, and that would be like a snap, crackle, or pop or something like that.
Okay, anyways, well, the oneer.
Anywho.
That was a really cool shot. That was the last shot delivered out of everything. Just the cool sound effects of like Tony blasting Cap's shield and everything, and them working together. It's what the Avengers is about. That shot was almost cut a lot because of the cost, but I'm so glad that stayed in.
They definitely needed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It literally was a shot that brought like everybody together.
Yeah.
And like the shot.
Right.
You know.
Then they land in Grand Central Station, location for Madagascar, what it's most known for. Probably Hulk punches Thor again. The Norse person getting
knocked off screen.
Yeah. Also, probably around this time, the event like Endgame Avengers are probably hanging out. Hulk's going to see the Ancient One. I don't know. Just a thought. I wonder what they're up to.
Well, technically, in this like they haven't time traveled yet.
I know.
So
anyway, Selvig wakes up. You can see the blue. This shot actually of him waking up. It's like so much happens, and Joss really likes it. Like he wakes up. There's a shock of horror when he sees what's around him. He like transforms, and he's like, after he comes out of it, he's like, how do I get out of this and get through this? And it all happens in one shot, and the actor does a really good job. It's just emphasized with the blue mind control kind of fading from his eyes. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Cap has a little moment, goes to the bank and saves a bunch of people. That waitress lady.
I really like how they made her stick out with like her clothing design with like the brighter brown shirt.
Right.
As compared to like everyone else wearing the darker clothing.
Yeah.
As well as like the way Cap started having to fight the Chitauri. I can't, like the one was like literally ripping off his cap. They're ripping off Cap's cap. And then there's like the grenade, and he has like ball up and like gets shot out the window.
Yeah.
Like that's freaking intense.
It's very intense. And then Natasha and Loki end up at Stark Tower. Hulk comes in and whips him around. It's the behind the scenes for this apparently was amazing even before the visual effects happened, because it literally was like Loki just standing there, Tom Hiddleston, and he had a rope around his leg, and then as he was giving his speech, someone would just randomly yank it. And I'm pretty sure I heard that like Loki was told, like Tom Hiddleston told them like, don't tell me when it's gonna happen, so that he would be genuinely like shocked. So like just imagine like it's going to happen, but you don't know when.
Like how much of that speech did he have prepared?
I have no idea.
You know, like before.
Yeah. What if he like runs out and he's like, okay, that's all I had, and then they yank him.
I'm not going to be bullied by some small, dumb, dark.
Yeah, just keep saying adjectives.
Green, tall, brown haired.
Just starts listing off features of the Hulk. Starts falling in love with him. You devilishly handsome gentleman.
Largely muscled.
All right, anyways. All right, so also the behind the scenes for this was really funny because like Joss and Tom just kept losing it, because literally what they would have to do, Tom Hiddleston would have to like get up and then just jump into like one of the craters that the production designer had, then get up, jump into another crater, so they could have reference for him being like ragdolled around. And like apparently he kept laughing, and Joss kept laughing, so the assistant director, like the first AD, had to like kind of whip him to shape, like, guys, we need to get this by today.
stop laughing.
Yeah. I mean, because it's really, production schedules are tight. Like, for a 2-hour film, it takes, on a good day, you can get maybe like 5 minutes of a film done, which is 5 pages. Like, that's for one day.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So time is money on set. It's hectic. It's crazy. Anyways, luckily Selvig built in that failsafe, very convenient. And Iron Man takes some heavy hits, and then he's warned that
a nuke's coming in.
And apparently, before he like flies off, he gets hit and lands in front of the Shawarma Palace. Apparently, someone said that. I don't know if that's true, but maybe that's how he got the idea for shawarma.
Also, there's this little scene where you see that the council overrides Nick Fury, and they send out the nuke.
Yeah, and I like that Fury takes matters into his own hands. Like, just forget this. I'm running out there.
He literally whips out an RPG, and he's like,
"Yeah,
get out of here."
Yeah.
Jeez.
Also, like when the nuke's coming in, you can see the city skyline of New York. They had permission to get Oscorp from The Amazing Spider-Man 2 because that was coming out. They had permission to get that in the film, but the rendering was complete on the city, so they couldn't put it in, which I'm kind of glad. I think they dodged a bullet there because that franchise did not do that well.
Yeah, it definitely, that was a good call.
Yeah. Oh, there's also a cool slow-mo shot here of Cap and Thor catching their weapons individually. That was something that Marvel wanted from the beginning. Oh, also way back, the Iron Man versus Thor, that was one of the first things Marvel said they wanted in this film before like there was even a script. I thought that was cool.
You can have Cap and Thor catching something. It could be anything. It could be like a banana and a passion fruit.
Well, when they were doing that shot, there's a behind the scenes and Thor, Chris Hemsworth misses his
catch,
misses Mjolnir, and then he's just like juggling it. Literally hits it up like 10 times. It's really funny. And someone put like some like old timey comedy music to it. It's funny. Anyway, Stark gets the nuke.
Takes it right into the portal. This is a really cool shot where you see like the army is still getting ready to come in with like a newer wave, even more Leviathans and gliders coming in. And then you get the mothership and it's just boom, nuke hits it. He gone.
I love how his HUD like fizzles out and you just see his eyes lit up by the slits and like the red in his eyes as he's looking to make sure the nuke hits. Like I really like that shot. And that's also parallel. People have made parallel connections in Endgame when Steve
was it Endgame or Infinity War?
It was Endgame when Steve goes into space. Yeah, for the first time. I really like that cinematic parallel.
But also for Tony, that completely goes against what Cap was saying earlier about him not being the guy to lay down his life, all that stuff.
Yeah, realizing his arc.
And it really made you think like Tony was willing to die like every single time, you know?
Yeah. And then Hulk saves the day, catches him, woo!
And then yells at him to make him wake up.
Yeah, that was improv apparently on set by Ruffalo, like in the mocap. Yeah.
Like he's still pretending to be like passed out, and then there's just Mark Ruffalo in his regular voice. Ah! Mark, what are you doing?
Just trust me, it'll be great. Then, so Stark wakes up, and the whole shawarma thing, like, again, RDJ asked Joss for just something more to say. Besides, I think the original line was like, it's over, or something like that. RDJ wanted something more, so he gave him, like, just say something about shawarma. Or he gave him a couple options, then he landed on shawarma. He was like, oh, we should try that new shawarma place. And then he improv'd the end, like, okay, but then shawarma later, after that. Yeah. And then that obviously led to the post-credit scene, the post-credit scene, which that post-credit scene was actually added the day after the world premiere of Avengers. So the people that saw Avengers on the day, like, didn't see that. It was just so late in the game. And also, the shawarma scene, like, it was filmed way after production had wrapped. Chris Evans had actually shaved his head and grown a full beard for another role. So if you look at him...
so that's why he's not eating, because his arm is, like, up and blocking him.
He's holding a prosthetic jaw. Yeah. And it looks horrible. But so, he's blocking most of it. Anyway, so they capture Loki. Also, there's continuity error between here and Endgame. Here, Steve is very dirty and dusty and bloody and stuff from the battle and everything. And then when he fights himself in Endgame, they're both very clean. The suits, you know? So what happened there? Maybe messed up the timelines or something.
Nah, maybe he just had a spare suit. And he's like, let me go put this on before we go do press or something like that.
Before the pictures. Yeah. Wait, in the shawarma shop, they were all bloody, though. So did he change out of it, clean up, then re-bloody up for shawarma?
Well, maybe they went in shawarma before press. But that means he would have went back up to then get the, I don't know.
Okay, so we get news cover, the Stan Lee cameo, and the waitress again. This is late edition.
Superheroes in New York? Give me a break.
Yeah. Thor takes Loki and the Tesseract back to Asgard, and they all...
back to his papa.
Split their separate ways.
And there's this little moment where like they've all split up between Hill and Fury. You know?
That was actually apparently a very difficult shot, like, day to shoot because it was in the middle of, I think, actually, like, a park. I don't know if it was Central Park. It might have been Central Park, but, like, somewhere. And, like, literally people were all around. And luckily they were shooting MOS, which is that means no sound, which is good because people were screaming all around them.
Jeez.
And then A is the only letter left on Stark Tower. Kevin Feige was actually the one who suggested that would be the last thing.
For Avengers. Wow.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then post-credit scene 1, Thanos. Sorry if I'm rushing through this. We've been talking for a while. Probably gonna have another episode over 2 hours. I'm sorry. But it's Avengers. It's probably worth it.
Yeah. If there's anyone out of phase 1 that would be this long, would be this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, Thanos and his Thummy.
They didn't have to look quite yet. It's not Josh Brolin.
Thummy's like
Thummy.
to fight Earth is to court death, and Thanos is like, This kind of makes it like obviously with the comics origins, where he actually literally courts death.
Is his it's
his lover,
his hubby wubby.
It's more like his waifu. Let's be honest here,
right?
Because he's never going to make that a reality, because he's dead.
I want to say thank you to anyone that worked on this film and all the MCU and just anything. Like genuinely, like this was my childhood, and I appreciate all the work that has been put into this, just logistically and making this work, like to make it not cheesy and having these 6 characters and all their stories come together. It meant so much for the MCU in the future and my childhood, and I genuinely thank you to people listening to us talk about this. Like it means a lot, and this stuff means a lot to me, and I'm sure Daniel, and also just a lot of people. So thank you.
Yeah, this was such a huge part. I mean, of course, of both of ours because we're both here talking about it. Thank you for you helped define a major part of our childhoods, and that takes a lot of work, and we appreciate that.
Yeah,
there might be some parts where we might get nitty gritty, or you might talk about the physics of it,
but it's just because we love it so much.
It's all for fun, and we love it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if I didn't care about it, then I wouldn't be getting into it. So take it as a compliment. Come on. So there was a Paramount logo actually before this, which I was surprised about, but
yes,
it was distributed by Disney. I saw that in the credits, and there was actually there's a short film, a Marvel one-shot called Item 47. I don't think I'd ever seen this one, but basically there was a bank robbery in Allentown, PA. Got some friends over there, the Sweet Crew, pretty close to where we are, and it's a couple in a car, and they do like a bank robbery, like I said, but they use a Jatari gun, and Baldy McHydra has to take him in, and he's been promoted to Coulson's position, which people are like, oh, we miss Coulson. And then he actually just recruits them. The guy in the couple he reverse engineered them, so he's recruited to help S.H.I.E.L.D. reverse engineer these weapons.
I feel like that'd be cool if they went back with that, with how they did the Tinkerer when Far From Home, Homecoming.
Yeah, I know.
I think that'd be cool turn with that. Yeah, I didn't know about that one off. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's Avengers. I feel like you could watch this without seeing the other films. It's
definitely. It definitely does lead into itself.
Good, but you get so much more if you do watch the other solo movies. Also, just watching these interviews and the cast looked like they had a great time making the movie and doing press. Coulson made up a grunge song for the Avengers theme. I don't even remember what it was, but he sang it in one of the interviews. It's really funny. Definitely check it out. But yeah, that is what I had for that. Anything else you wanted to add for that?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything, I think we're good.
All right, let me do a review really quick. Oh, well, should we have a theme, little jingle for reviews? What should we call this segment, Daniel?
Well, how are we doing the review? Are we reviewing the movie and being this was this?
No, podcast review.
Oh,
our reviews.
How would you jingle that? Give us a review and we'll like you. Ba, 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 ba.
That's it. That is it. Oh my gosh. All right, that's it. I'm going to read Carly, my neighbor. Thank you, Carly. If you want smart, witty, down-to-earth quality entertainment, give these guys a listen. You'll leave feeling wiser. They provide great insights and with a stitch in your side from laughing. What are you waiting for? Check them out. Thank you, Carly. Really appreciate that. If you want your review read during the segment with the amazing jingle, then leave a review.
Leave a review and we'll like you.
Ba, ba, ba. Yeah. Also, last things. Again, we're selling those mugs. Reach out on Instagram or Twitter or literally anything. Links in the description if you need that. If you would like them, there's only 5 left. Let me know. Also, our Patreon, if you do want to support the show and everything, and the Audible link, all that stuff. Links in the description. Really appreciate you guys listening. Yeah. Anything else you want to cover before we head home?
I feel like we need a jingle for the plugs. Go chug our plugs. I don't know.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure something out for next time. I was going to say that's a promise, but I don't want to promise that.
Yeah, don't.
Because I don't know if I'm going to be able to learn a music software.
Don't make promises. Don't do it.
That's a loose maybe. All right, Dale, take us home.
We just talked about whatever we want to talk about, and now we're done. Blank. Did you do the opening jingle, by the way?
Yeah. Oh, fudge, I forgot ARoSW. ARoSW. Really out of order. sound clip.
Did you ever see Return of the Jedi?
Hey, this is Editor Jake. Someone asked me, what the heck is Ross was still doing in here? It's not a review of Star Wars. We changed it a couple episodes ago to a review of Sick Works, like Sick Media Works, so that we could keep the title and the cool little sound clip, except I've been forgetting a lot, so sorry about that. Alright, end of the episode. Here we go. Alright, goodbye. Thank you for listening to this.
Peace out.